Welcome to the Tom Castro Shooting Academy podcast. You have now entered the next level. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Tom Castro Shooting Academy Next Level podcast. I have some very, very special guests with me. These guys are my teammates from Team Shortbus. Yes, we have a team named Team Shortbus. So let me go ahead and introduce you, everybody. So this gentleman right here on the front here is Craig Mcelhany. That is the very first guest, and obviously you guys should know him from the first podcast because he's the guy who got me to start coaching. What a mistake that was. Number two, I'm going to go over here to my right-hand side. This man right here is Mr. Raphael. He is one of our teammates, and actually he was one of my very first students in my very first PCC class that I ever did. This is probably one of the biggest pain in my asses of teammates, but I love him, Mr. Ian. He has been, dude, I think you've been on the team for, you're probably one of the shortest amount of times, over a year though, right?
Yeah.
So Ian's been on our team for over a year. I got to go back to this real quick. This is these two guys between Craig and my other great friend Tim Nolan here, which is actually, I think we met about 6 months after I started shooting.
Yep.
I think, yeah. So you've been around a long time too. So Tim Nolan and Craig are both my captains, co-captains on our team. We actually have another co-captain that punked out and didn't come out today because he had to wash his underwear or some BS crap like that. So yeah, Pete.
Exactly.
Pete, I'm talking about you, Pete. You didn't show up today.
Pete,
so quick trip to Sam's Club.
Yeah, quick trip to Sam's Club. Yeah, you got to do his laundry, get his food ready because the other 6 days of the week, couldn't do any of that stuff. So it's kind of crazy. But so today we're going to talk a little bit about a lot of different things. We're going to talk a little bit about being what it's like to be on a team, a shooting team, for a recreational sport, which is crazy because most people don't do that. Let's see. Let's go through a couple of things that I want to go to, guys. Let's start off with Craig. Go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit, and let's get everybody to kind of introduce you and tell everybody what you do.
If you heard the last podcast, you know what I do. My name is Craig Mcelhany. First and foremost, I work in the fire department. I'm the sunset of my career. I'm almost retired, thankfully. And this is my hobby, and this is a blast. And it's fun to be on a shooting team. It's a non-professional thing. It's just a group of guys that we shoot together, and it's not about skill. It's about who fits in with the team and how much fun we have. And that's why I do it, and it's fun.
Definitely not about skill since you're on the team.
Exactly. But I did beat Tom in a couple stages today. So.
And he just won a match today, so we'll get into that later. But
Stage 9,
you guys should know after podcast number 1, I talked a lot of trash to Craig. So, all right, Raphael, so what's your shooting history? And give him a little information about you, brother.
My name is Raphael. I started shooting PCC probably 2 years ago. Traveled to Utah for PCC Nationals and ended up being squatted with Tom. And I was like, oh, cool. Somebody I know from back home. So it was cool to be somewhere with somebody else, like without having strangers or being odd man out, because everybody else I noticed at Utah pretty much was a bunch of friends, but pretty much got stuck shooting with him, and we became friends after that, and he brought me on the Team Shortbus. And maybe he just felt sorry for me.
And Raphael is like a 6'8" Filipino. He's actually a king in the Philippines. He's royalty in the Philippines.
Actually, we have a couple of Filipinos on our team that are really short. So they're actually older than Raphael, and we tell them that Raphael's their father just because he's bigger.
He is 6'8", guys. 6'8".
He's not.
So this too is my hobby. The camera adds 10 pounds, give or take, maybe 20.
He's a well-fed king.
He ate one of his sons. That's why he's that size. It's supposed to be triplets.
We're missing one of our teammates.
Shooting's my hobby. I DJ on the weekends, so sometimes it's hard to take time off from that doing matches, but I try to shoot as much as I can when ammo isn't stupid expensive. And finishing EMT school, I'm trying to be like Craig over here and saving people like a firefighter.
Yeah, man.
Save the
That's
world,
how it starts.
It's
exactly.
Apart.
Good for you. Good for you.
All right, Ian, go ahead, brother. Let everybody know who you are, man.
All right. So got into USPSA because of Tim. After I got out of the Navy from active duty, still in the reserves, and now I do cybersecurity stuff and had zero background, but somehow made it work. Been on the team for just over a year now. Done 5 majors now. It's been a blast, though. Shooting is a hobby. I like to compete. It gives that outlet again. But the real reason I do it is because of the brothers. It's just an absolute blast shooting with your friends and getting to have some guy time.
So you have, other than, well, actually Craig's got kids, but you have kids and a wife. So some of your shooting gets taken up from that, right? Like
yeah,
you have to manage a lot with family to shoot, right?
Yeah, I've got a 7-year-old and a 3-year-old, and and a lot of it too is while I was active duty, I missed a lot with them, so it's been trying to make up time with them as well. So it's a lot to juggle, but it's definitely well worth it.
Yeah, it's hard to have me time when you were gone for so long, right?
Yeah.
Like it's kind of that's like you already had me time, even though you were working. Most wives don't understand that part.
It's all good, man.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, Tim, let them know who you are, brother.
Well, my name's Tim Nolan. I've been on Team Shortbus really since, I guess, the beginning. Formed with this crazy guy and a couple other guys. But it's been a lot of fun. It's definitely a hobby for us all. But the great part about shooting with your friends is they always push you to be better. They always see what you don't see when you're shooting. Because I know it's so easy to get locked into your stage plan and, okay, I'm going to reload here, let me do this. Then everybody's like, well, you obviously missed this position by 3 feet. What are you doing? Yeah. So it really helps you. It pushes your growth so much faster because you guys are all pushing towards the same goals. And it's really just been a lot of fun. And traveling is probably, what makes it all worth it.
That's definitely the best. Dude, traveling is with the gang is just amazing. We'll get into that a little bit later, but
make sure you test your Airbnb's air conditioning before you spend the night.
Yeah, we will definitely be talking about the air conditioner. So
don't let Craig book the Airbnb.
Oh, come on.
That wasn't even my fault.
It wasn't my fault. They really.
All right, so actually, I want to touch in. Let's go into the first topic with what Tim just said. I think we should start with that. I think the best part about shooting with a team is that there's not, even though, and the crazy thing about Team Shortbus is that there is so many guys that are competing against each other in the same class, the same division. We have a ton of PCC guys. We got a lot of open guys. Well, now we have a couple open guys. We have some carry optics guys, and everybody's trying to beat each other. But the coolest thing about it all is not one person on our team is like, I hope you screw up, man. Or when they screw up and they get the advantage, they don't walk over and go, yeah, man, thanks a lot for. It was always like, damn, dude, that sucks. All right, get him on the next one. Or don't worry, dude, you're still in the game. You still have this. It's just such a positive team to be around.
We help each other.
Yeah, and I've been around other teams and around other people that are, I guess they would consider themselves teammates. And I'm like, I'd kick that guy out of our team in 2 seconds. It's like, so the other thing is and I kind of said the same thing about Craig, is on this team, especially for me personally, I get to be myself. And so like today, there was things that I messed up on and everybody knew to leave me alone. But then I would walk over after I calmed myself down. I wasn't mad at anybody else. I was mad at myself because of things happening. But I walked over to those guys and we just start talking about it. And I'm just like, all right, cool, man. And then as soon as they knew I was out of my own head, they were like, dude, you really sucked. Or they started giving me shit. And I'm like, yeah, that's it. I'm mad. I'm going to tear this up. And it changed my mindset because of who I shoot with. Sometimes when you shoot with people you don't know or people that you know don't have your best interest in the way you are shooting, then it really affects your mental game. So I really enjoy shooting with my friends. I'm not a big super squad guy. I'm sure that's amazing, but I could care less. I'd rather shoot with my guys. I would say the hardest part for me though is that I care more about their shooting than mine. So I have to walk away sometimes because I'm like, oh, dude, you missed that, or you missed this, or you missed that. And it's not that they made a lot of mistakes. It's just I know where they can make up time. So I would say that to me is the hardest part, shooting on a team, but it's worth it, every bit of it. I mean, we just have an amazing time together and we just pick each other up. Like today, everybody made mistakes and not one time did I see somebody get down because they're not allowed to. I mean, we're all positive and jumping all over each other's butts about like, no, dude, I don't give a shit if you shot 3 mics. You are the man, go get it. Go get the next one and the next one and the next one. So that's been the biggest thing I've noticed since, as a team, like everybody's positive. And I would say we kind of, when we first started this, we kind of had and I think we kind of still do, for people to be on our team, they have to be able to stay with us, like at the same house. Like if you can't stay with us at a house, you aren't on this team, because we are brutal on each other in such a great way. Like we love to mess with each other, but we're all like, oh my God, look what you just did. I mean,
we don't need somebody to snap and end up killing us in their sleep.
Right. So, I mean, we all do travel with a lot of guns.
Maybe we pushed him too hard.
Mike G? Anybody?
The knife incident.
Oh God.
So we got a guy on our team named Mike G that wasn't able to make the podcast, but you do not make sure he does not have a knife.
Don't cross that man.
Don't cross that man.
Yeah. Don't make him upset.
It's pretty awesome.
But going back to what you were saying about shooting with the team, I remember when I was first shooting, I shot Area 6 by myself, and I think it was in Okeechobee, and I live in Tampa, so I went and shot it, and I shot it Thursday, Friday, and all my friends were shooting it Saturday, Sunday. Yeah. So I remember I knew nobody there, and it was my first area match. I was so nervous. I didn't want to screw up. And I think I got fourth, but it could have been way worse. I mean, way better. Just having, some insight on what was going on, having somebody there just to kind of talk to you and calm you down. And, shooting with the team, it's just such a difference, because you go in there and you almost feel like you have a cheat code before you get to the match, because you're like, okay, well, I have 12 people looking at how this stage runs. If there's a little corner I'm not going to see, somebody else will probably will.
See, I feel the same way. I think Area 6 was also my first major match down at OK Corral.
Yeah.
And so I went down there with my buddy, but I mean, like, it's cool to have the moral support, but it's a friend that doesn't. He loves shooting, but he doesn't shoot competitively.
Right.
Like, he'll go to the range. He loves building guns. So he had my back in the interest of, I get to hang out with people that like guns. So it's not like I could lean on him, look to him like, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Because back then, I didn't really have stage planning. Like, I just went out there. Hey, I have a gun that I like shooting. Hey, I'm going to wait a long time and shoot 30 to 45 seconds. That's because I'm slow. Back then. Right. But yeah, so it's like, okay, cool. I don't know how to properly run a stage plan. I don't really have anybody that could teach me, because most of the people on my squad, I shot the staff day there, so I didn't realize that's what it was. And so
you really shot stages at 30 to 45 seconds when you
started? No, not back then.
I was going to say, because the way you shoot now, I'm like, dude, you're the man. Like, that's amazing differences in your times. Okay.
Maybe if I was shooting 3-gun now.
Well. Yeah, try doubling
3-gun
that.
stage.
80 seconds for stages.
Right. My times were, though, when I started.
Really?
Because he was still shooting for accuracy, right?
That's yes.
It was I got 99%, right? Like I shot all alphas but one. So the difference is you're like, yeah, but you took a second per shot.
I do remember that, actually. That was a big topic that we would have a conversation about. I remember Tim. I'd look at Tim. I was like, who are you bringing out here, bro? Like, this guy's like all about hits, and he goes, I know, that's why he's here. You're going to fix it. And it was like, and it was one of those things where I remember we had numerous conversations. Your skills were there. You had the physical and the mental ability. It was just getting you to go.
Yeah.
That was the hardest part. It was like, yeah, but my hits suck. And I'll go, okay, you're losing. So go and learn how the hits will come back. And it was like, it just slowly, your hits went bad and then got better and better and better and better. And then and then every week, instead of it being, dude, I'm too slow, now it was like, where can I go faster, Tom? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? What do you think about that? Instead of it being just, man, I got to get my hits. So those, again, you had the benefit of having Tim and myself and all the guys at that time, because you were shooting with even though you weren't on the team, you were shooting with us as a squad. We were already in this is practice.
Yeah.
Right? So it no longer became I got to win the local. Like myself and Tim. See, Tim started and we instantly became friends, but for the first, month or two before
it was like 2 or 3 months.
2 or 3 months, no help. No one helped him. I think maybe Mike Howell, the guy who mentored me, gave Tim some help. And then we became instant friends. And then it was like, all right, man, you're going to start kicking ass right now, Tim. And it turned into, all of a sudden, that I've got to win a local match became this is dumb. What can we do to make this better? Like, how much faster? Started building stages, started changing things around at our matches so they became harder practices for us. And then it was just about analyzing the scores afterwards. It was no longer about did you win, did you lose. Now, and I said this a couple of times before, I don't want to bring this up again. When you shoot a match, a local match, and you don't care about the scores, you better care about the scores, but not during the match. You're going to go afterwards and analyze those scores.
It takes your mental focus out of
exactly.
You move the expectations on yourself. It keeps you more relaxed.
But there's a lot of guys that still do that, even in the match we shot. A lot of guys are watching their scores.
That's a big thing that you just brought up, Ian, was the expectations, right? I mean, I say it in different ways. Having preconceived scores in your mind, knowing what you want to shoot, or you know this guy shot it in 13 seconds, so you have to shoot it in 12. How the hell do you know what 12 seconds is when you're running around? You don't know. Listen, I'm a grandmaster, and I feel like I'm pretty fast, and I still don't know what the hell I'm going to get for a time. I don't know how these grandmasters are walking around going, this is a 12-second stage. How the hell do you know that?
I can't tell you how many times you come off a stage and you're like, man, I was slow. Yeah. All the ROs are like, that was our fastest time today.
Your hit factor is higher than your time.
Everybody's like, okay.
I did it a couple times today, and a couple of ROs came over and was like, that was the fastest time we had all day. And I'm like, no, you misremembered or something because I slipped here or I didn't pull the trigger when I was supposed to here. It's I look at it in a different way. My mindset's changed. It's not. I'm trying to have the perfect run, but my expectations know that there's no such thing. So now when I do make a mistake on a stage, I know it's there, but I don't let it affect the stage run. I used to just bomb after one mistake. If I would draw and I knew I shot a Charlie, the rest of the stage I was thinking about that Charlie, only that Charlie. So that's been a big mindset change for me in shooting for sure. But
gotta have a short memory. Yeah. Absolutely, man.
So I want to go into one thing before, obviously, guys, this is kind of just, we kind of have a bunch of topics, but we're just going to get into them as we get into them. But one of the things I really want to talk about is how we became friends. All right. So obviously shooting brought us all together, but half of us don't shoot together anymore. Like 3 out of the 4 guys that are sitting in front of me rarely shoot now because of ammo issues. Not just ammo issues, but we have like Raf's trying to get a new career. He's doing something completely different in life. He's starting to work his way to another job. Ian's got promotions, and he's got the COVID thing's crushing him when it comes to work. He's at home now instead of where he's supposed to be. So he's got his wife, his kids. And then he's got ammo issues. And Tim, his work hasn't really changed a whole lot, but man, the ammo has crushed him. Like it's just at this point,
it feels like a drug addiction.
Yeah. Like I'm jonesing for the ammo.
If I want to shoot like what I want to shoot, which is like 3,000 to 5,000 a month, like I feel like I'm a crack addict. Like we're give me my next fix, man. Come on.
I would say the biggest problem with Tim's ammo issue is that he prepared for nationals last year. For how long did we prepare for nationals last year? Carry Optics Nationals.
God, Ian was there with me too. Like,
yeah, I mean, was it like we had probably a solid 2-month cycle where it was every week going and putting 500 to 1,000 rounds a night and just going, man.
So for 2 months straight. So you're probably talking.
We probably put 10,000 rounds.
You're burning.
I was going to say because I remember
primers.
doing ammo where it was. I remember us getting like 2,000-3,000 every time we talked.
Yeah.
Right. It was 2,000 every 2 weeks. So it was almost 4,000 rounds a month.
Mm-hmm. And then some like if you
sometimes
shoot a big
more.
match.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to.
And we were throwing matches in there. We were doing our locals.
Practice.
We were doing the locals plus the practices plus any big matches before nationals to get the match experience of trying to do that. Practice, go back down to your match mode, practice mode, match mode, practice mode, match mode, and trying to get your mind to get more comfortable with all of it. So that's been the biggest thing I've noticed in our team, and that's how I know these guys are my friends because we still talk. Like this is our first match in a year.
A year at least.
Holy shit, dude! A year it's been since we've all shot together.
I haven't shot since last October.
Yeah, Georgia State was our last travel match together.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
And that was September.
And then we all did nationals kind of.
I want to cry because that sucks. Because, dude, I mean, we were every week, we would go shoot, go eat, go shoot, go eat. I mean, that was our.
Yeah.
We were together every week. That's been crazy.
At least once a week, because it was the local match. Then if there was like another weekend local match, we traveled to that too.
And we have 11 guys on the team now. 11. We have 11.
Yeah, I think it's 11 or 12.
I think we have 11 or 12 guys. Mm-hmm. We have 4 captains, which I disagree with bringing the 4th one on. Craig Mcelhany. He's too. So he just. The problem is he just uses his thought. He's not emotional. You got to think with your emotions only. No thought process.
That's Tom Castro.
But he's also the safest driver on our team.
Yeah, he is by far the safest. If it's 55, 45 is the max.
I arrive alive.
Hey, the a-hole in the fast lane is Craig Mcelhany. Just so you know.
It's a 9-hour drive to Atlanta. It's now a 12-hour drive. Because he also has the old man bladder, so, you know.
It's all on purpose.
So, unfortunately, Craig knows speed kills. He has helped a lot of people pick them up out of their car and picked up bodies. So he tends to drive a little bit slower than everybody else because he's seen a lot of bad things in life. So I get it, but it doesn't mean we can't make fun of him about it. So I was so busy making fun of Craig on the ammo. So kind of like that was the biggest thing is like we haven't shot together in a long time, but we have a group chat that we get on there and we talk a lot and we kind of always keep in contact. I go out to lunch with Tim a lot. We've been fishing. Actually, we just went fishing a couple weeks ago. So we all try to get together. I see my buddy Pete, who's obviously not here because he's washing his underwear. But he's obviously not here.
Like hand washing?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
he's got the washboard.
So the soap.
You don't get those big muscles.
He's pulling a dagger. He's pulling a dagger in his back right now.
To dry, he brings out the spoons. Plays on the
he definitely plays spoons.
That's so wrong.
Is he a Zydeco band?
So he wasn't able,
right
but
now.
he's one of our co-captains, and I eat lunch with him on almost a weekly basis if we can stick around, if I'm close to his work or whatever. But I would say that's the biggest thing, man. It's really kind of I think for me because COVID hasn't really affected my life too much, but other than work. But
well, don't forget all those masks you're wearing.
Yeah, me and my anti-masker over here.
I think with as much as we go out to eat, it's like food brought us together, and we just shoot on the side. Right?
So I'll bring that up real quick. I got to tell you, a lot of these local matches, I don't get a lot out of them. The biggest thing I do this for now, the local matches, is I come to shoot with my friends. Like this weekend, we shot a level 2 match called the Doc Welt. We've done it every year since we became friends. I think this is our 3rd one together as a team. Mm-hmm. And it's not a big match. The range only has straight berms. There's not a whole lot of left to right. They only have one berm because of the way the range is designed. Railroad ties separate the berms. Actually, I'll try to throw up a video or a picture real quick of one of the berms so you guys can kind of see what we shoot at. But it was my home club. I mean, it's what I started at. It's where I met all these guys. It's where we became friends. So it's kind of got a special place in my heart that I always know these guys from there. And we shoot that match together, and it was a pretty cool sight because how many guys? 13 guys today on the
13
squad?
13 squad.
So there was 13 guys on the squad, and we had one. Well, then, dude, if there's 13, was there 12 or 13? Because we only had Casey was the only guy not on our team today.
Casey was the 13th guy.
So we had 12 guys on the team. All right. So then we had no.
We shorten ourselves.
Right. Yeah, because
we have 13 guys on the team.
We have 13 guys on the team. That makes sense because Timmy didn't make it today. So we had 13 guys on the team and 12 guys there today. And to turn around and I don't really talk to the guys about how much, obviously how important they are because I just talk trash to them the whole time. But I walked away
Tom
from
hurt my
the stage.
feelings.
Yeah, I don't know what he said, but we're gonna block it out. I walked away from the squad today, and I just looked back, and man, it's a really cool feeling to know that you have friends and support whenever you need it at these matches. So, and everybody was wearing a Tom Castro shirt, Shooting Academy shirt. They're all in my insider circle. They're all guys that I've coached. I still coach. I teach to this day. And it's just to turn around and see all those guys, and everybody likes each other. To get 13 people to all like each other. I mean, truly like each other for their flaws, for their positives. Dude, if anybody meets me and gets to know me, I never shut up. That's why I started a podcast, I guess. It's perfect for me. But I never shut up. I talk a lot. I like to have fun. I like to enjoy my life. And these guys all make it better, man. It's pretty awesome. So it's a really cool thing that we shot that match together again this year, even with no ammo. Guys that didn't have ammo still were able to make it and shoot that match. And we were very, very, very successful again this year. It's pretty awesome when Team Shortbus goes to Doc Welt and there's like 5 or 6 trophies every time we go.
And nobody got DQ'd this time.
Nobody got DQ'd.
Actually, last time nobody got DQ'd either.
Yeah. So.
Hey, we're starting a trend. I like it.
I was gonna say, maybe we have to be a full squad. Team Shortbus. Sorry we weren't there with you.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into the Doc Welt a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about the Doc Welt because it's a match that we shoot every year. We know what kind of match it's going to be. It's an odd match compared to what most matches are. It's prop heavy, and I don't mean prop heavy as in like a lot of activators, but there's always ramps. There's wheelchairs. It's
hammock and oar,
hammocks,
swinging rope,
ropes.
We didn't have an oar this year, though.
No, we didn't have an oar. I think they got tired of everybody shooting the damn things on the draw.
Probably.
Every year, they would you would have the oar over your hand, like a boat oar, and somebody would drop it. And when they drop it, they draw, and they shoot through the damn oar while they're drawing. So it was like, I'm pretty sure there's probably not any oars left.
We did have the hammock back, which ate my lunch today, and this guy's too.
This is comedy. The hammock should not go away because that's just straight comedy.
I will.
There should be like a blooper reel of
I was gonna
the
say,
hammock.
the hammock is best when you have a squad of friends because they're not your friends unless they make fun of how you get out or fall.
Yeah, but you were pretty special. Very special.
Luckily, we didn't have a Mission Barbecue before. Otherwise, I wouldn't have gotten out of that hammock. I would have just been like, I'll zero the stage out.
I'm taking a nap.
Yeah.
So for the guys that are listening to this and not going to be able to see the video, you're not going to get to enjoy this wonderful moment, but I'm going to grab some videos off these guys' phones and just do some screenshots.
From Peter and Raphael.
So Peter is Peter's the guy who wasn't able to show up because he was washing his underwear. And going to Sam's Club, so he didn't make it today. But for Peter's like a bowling ball, like legit. Like the guy is just a solid rock.
Brick house.
Like the guy he's straight up a bowling ball, dude. If you can't, once he gets rolling, like just get out of the way because he's just gonna truck you. Like he's just a bowling ball.
Especially with the new hip, man.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. And Pete, but I would love for Pete to have told this story, but he's getting doing laundry and shopping instead of being here. But he's actually he got his hip fixed. He had some major hip issues to where he actually had to stand on his tippy toe because it hurt so bad. So he had to literally run like on his toe. That's when
Twinkle toes.
Since I've known him for almost 3 years now, over 2 years. So he got his hip fixed. This is the first major match he shot that he had his
and he moved pretty well.
He killed it.
Yeah.
But being a bowling ball and having to climb out of a hammock
That was hilarious.
was
He should have
hilarious.
rolled out
Like
of the hammock.
it would have been better for him to lay down and do a burpee or something to jump up instead of try to land on his feet because he's just a bowling ball. Like imagine a ball rolling and then trying to stop it. It just bumps over anything that it hits. So, and then Raphael, who looks like he was literally on vacation in the hammock when he got on. I thought he closed his eyes and took a nap. And then
But
the timer went
he
off.
is Filipino royalty.
I just needed a pineapple beverage.
Someone fanning you with a banana leaf.
Your two sons
Yes, we
fanning
needed
you.
the banana leaf, dude. Oh,
Your two sons ran over to help you. We had to keep them from
sons ran over to help.
ping ping.
They were like, "Daddy!" So,
Thank God we didn't have firearms on us in the hammock.
and that's true. That's another thing. So the organizers of the match definitely know not to give adults guns in hammocks. So they had guns on barrels so that it was much safer. There would have been a ton of DQs, but that's obviously it's almost impossible to get out of if PCC you'd sweep yourself. I don't think there's any way. That thing is. I don't think people realize like try getting in a hammock as a leisurely. I'm going to go lay down. Now try to get out and actually be under the timer and having to run to go pick up your gun and score things, right? Like so you're getting in this hammock that is not friendly to gear, right? So this year. You missed it because you didn't get to make it this time. This year they had a solid, non-perforated netting type of hammock. The last 2 years they've had the netting type, where when you're wearing a holster and some gear, has the tendency to hook into that bad boy.
Yeah. Snag your
gear. So it was like this year I was like, oh, this is going to be a little bit better. And there's tricks to getting out of the hammock. So obviously my guys, I try to, teach them the tips, but it's one of those things where it's just an odd start, right? And in that specific stage, I love this team. No one give a shit about the stage run. Everybody just made sure they videoed the hammock release. Dude, I think Craig had to video one of our teammates, Jason, today. And Jason was set up to video him Craig was set up to video him on the left-hand side. And he was like, all right, man, he's like getting all set up and he's like behind the hammock. I'm like, Craig, over here, bro.
Just get the
hammock. So I move him, I go, just get the hammock. And it was awesome because he struggled to get out of the hammock. But I think the worst, dude, I think the guy who gets the award today was Mike G. So Mike G is probably the oldest guy on our team. I think he's like 89, 90 years old. So, we call him Peepaw.
He has brittle bones. He got osteoporosis.
He was a nom.
So I think, what's Mike, 65, 66?
He's got to be now 86.
So I don't want to age him any more than he already is.
He was in the Great War.
Dude,
He is a grandpa. So
he was in the Civil War. Like he was the cannon loader. But honestly, this guy, we love this guy. Like, he is just a badass. And the other thing about Mike is he's the most in shape son of a bitch I know. And he is,
for his age, he's freaking awesome.
Dude, that guy is an animal.
Like,
does the Murph like it's nothing.
Yeah, he's doing the Murph. Like, he asked me, if I wanted to do it. I'm like, nah, dude, I'm not an idiot.
Right? 100 pull-ups, I'm good, man.
We're good.
I'm good, dude. I'm good. But he did the Murph and completed it. So I'm telling you, he's in his late 60s. Yeah. So Mike was doing the Murph. And so today he definitely had the worst time getting out of the hammock. So he just didn't. It was kind of one of those things where once you land, if you land too far forward or worse, too far back on the hammock, like if you get like to where there's like a center post on a hammock that keeps the stand up. If you get anywhere near that center post, it's over. Like you're going forward or you're falling on your ass. Like there's no ifs, ands, or but about it. And Mike, actually, I was more concerned that he wasn't getting out of the hammock because the hammock started to fold over his head. Like, he got so far behind the bar because he landed great. But when he tried to, get, the push off, I think, he tried to push off the bottom of the hammock.
On the other side of
and his foot was on the wrong side. And the hammock ended up, kind of folding in on him instead of, pushing him up. And but he did okay. He actually got up and crushed it after that. It was just the fact that it took... The hammock is definitely where you win or lose that stage.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It was like trying to get out of a ball pit. You're just I can't move.
You're almost better off shooting a mic on the bobber, but getting out of the hammock fast. Yeah. It was that thing is such a pain to get out of. So I found a couple of tricks throughout the last few years that I've done it, that if you can set your butt in the middle of it, walk back and stand it straight up and then sit on it, you're going to rock. You're going to get out of it because as you turn and go to stand up, it throws you out of it instead of sucks you into it. So this year,
you had told me to grab the
bottom,
grab the side of it.
And I'll go ahead and kind of give you guys a little tip on, or the other thing that they made us do on this start position was you laid back in the hammock and you had to cross your hands, cross your arms. So the hardest part of that was to be competitive. You wanted your feet as close to off of the hammock as possible.
So it couldn't hang over.
But your foot wouldn't be able to hang over though. It had to stay completely inside the hammock, which was awesome because that's the only way, in my opinion, that you could have a consistent stage. If you let one guy hang his foot over and hang it over the ground, and another guy isn't allowed to do that or think of that, then you're allowing gamers to get away with it. But the other thing about that stage was when you would put your feet in, once you set up and you laid back and you crossed your arms, the hammock wanted to throw you out of it. Because if you were at the proper position, if your butt was in the middle and your feet were to the right, it would tip you to the right. It felt like you were going to fall out of the hammock. So you kind of had to use muscles and your core to hold yourself so you didn't tip left or right and just go beat that damn thing. Let's go. And the other thing about the RO, I think Jeff Jones did ours, right? Mm-hmm. He was really good on the timer. Soon as you got in, he gave you a second, to settle. And then it was are you ready? Stand by. beat. It wasn't like, all right, let's give this guy a 47-second, are you sure you're ready kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, there's all ages at this match.
They don't give a Craig make ready.
Yeah, they don't have a Craig make ready for
I don't even know why I still get flack for that. We were talking about that today because Tom's make ready is 3 times longer than mine.
Dude, when you're a grandmaster...
You're starting to rival Mr. Beach.
When you're a grandmaster...
We
There's a
have
lot
a
to
G
process.
next to our name.
So let's talk about this real quick. When you're a grandmaster, I use all my extra time for make ready because I'm not going to use it while I'm shooting. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just being a smart ass.
Where's Brendan Connolly?
Is this
Where's
real GM or paper GM?
So this is paper GM talking right now? No,
Two-time
no,
paper
I'm
GM.
I'm just kidding. So I'm cutting that out because everybody will take that wrong, like I'm being a dick. So,
Yeah.
Well, he's a stage 9 state champ, so.
oh, dude, he already knows. They already know.
Multiple stage 9. Multiple.
But there wasn't a stage 9 here, so Tom was safe today.
But there was other we'll pull them up. We can pull them up. There's other stages I beat him. Trust me.
The other after that, actually, before we shot the hammock stage, we had stage 1. And they had a ball where you would drop it onto a stomp pad. It was like what was it? What is that for a boat?
A buoy.
A buoy.
It's like a buoy ball.
Yeah.
Like a buoy ball. And this year was different because the other years you could make an attempt at throwing it to hit that. They've always had the buoy ball on the stomp pad every year. That's always been a big deal. But they've always also had a where you could make an attempt to throw it at it. So like you could stay away from it and take the chance. It was always movable. You could take it and move around the stage with it and start anywhere you wanted. This year, you could kind of start wherever you wanted.
But it was tethered to the wall.
But it was tethered to the wall.
You had like 3 feet you could move maybe.
And
So
it threw you
yeah.
off because it was a loose buoy
Yeah.
on the ground. Like you're thinking,
Right.
what the heck is that?
Yeah, so they did. They had one thing about the Doc Welt is that it's a memorial match for his name was Gary Doc Welt, and he was a shooter at that range that became really good friends with a couple of the guys that are in charge there. And that match, he ended up getting, was it MLS? ALS. So he ended up with ALS and ended up knowing he was going to pass away, and ended up they had a charity match for him to help him, but ended up that luckily he was a vet and the VA was taking care of all that. So they ended up this is how awesome this guy was, and I never had a chance to meet him, but he decided and told the people in charge and everybody that he was friends with that he would take that money and put it into the youth program that they have at the range. And that is carried on now for 9 years.
Yep.
Right? This is the ninth one?
This is the 9th one.
So 9 years. So that is really, really cool because to me, the youth program is what, that's a big thing. The kids are the future of this. Like, obviously, we're all getting older and, we're not going to be, the sport's not going to be here if we don't have younger generation coming in. So on that stage, that's why the military base comes from. Like, it's really military based. There's bandage boxes and there's all kinds of stuff that's military based.
Ranger flags and
Ranger flags.
and
Yeah,
stuff.
I think they represent every
Special operations group.
yeah, every group they have a flag on every stage or throughout the match. So it's
a
just,
military theme.
Yeah, military
years
theme,
past has been to have minefields and
Right.
that were clay pigeons. If you step on one, it was a penalty. And
And if
you
I
were telling
remember
about the
correctly, he was a
shooting-
SEAL. I think he was a SEAL, right?
Yeah,
Navy SEAL, yeah.
So that's another thing why the boat oar is always there, right?
And then last year they had the port holes to simulate like shooting out of a ship or something.
ship, yeah.
And then 1 year I didn't shoot with a bucket. You said you had to have your
Yeah, they had a bucket
of
where
water.
they. Oh man, that was. I kind of
That's
wanted
pretty
them to
cool.
bring that back,
Yeah,
even
that's
though I'm
kinda
shooting
cool.
pistol now, so that would suck. But
Yeah.
they had a bucket where, like a cooler, you started with your hands in the water, and then the timer would go off, and dude, it was like a bunch of SEALs just flapping their hands on their shirt, like just trying to get as much grip before they drew the gun. Then they grab the gun and shoot it, and I was like, that is pretty neat
Yeah,
because
pretty
that
cool.
is something you don't see on a regular basis. Like that is something that's the one thing about the Doc Welt. I don't want to say it's prop heavy because it's not. There's not a lot of gimmicky stuff, but there's always ramps, and one of them was a rope where you swung off the top of a platform. Like this
Last
stage,
year they had the wobbling platform.
yeah, they had a
Yeah.
wobble table. I think that's what it's called. A shaker table, not a wobble table, shaker table. So you jump up on this thing, and this table just wobbles back and forth and goes crazy, and you got to try to basically land on it all your weight without going left or right, or you're going to be going for a ride.
It's an incredible popular match.
Yeah.
It sells out in Hours.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
dude,
filled up and immediately. Yeah.
So this is the hardest part about our squad is getting everybody together, like on the same squad. So we're all like frantically like, sign up stage 3, squad 3, everybody sign up.
Raphael.
Raphael.
And so usually, since I DJ
Raphael.
late night,
I mean,
so
he doesn't wake
sleep
up till 2 p.m. in the afternoon.
So I open up the group text, and
he got in our squad because he's Filipino royalty.
so I open up. I have to scroll up to the start of the chat,
100 messages ago.
and I see Squad 13 sign up now open, and I'm like, oh, maybe I should go on practice score and look up Squad.
Like
13.
an hour and a half later.
Yeah. Sold out.
Yeah,
like
it was an hour and a half later.
Like, oh, okay,
crazy
there's
how
an
that
opening
happens.
on 12. I guess I'll just be behind you guys and talk to you through
I think
the
it was
wall.
like done in like 3 or 4 hours. This thing was sold.
Yeah. So after it was sold out, I asked who the 2 names were that I didn't know, and one was your nephew.
My nephew, yeah, Casey.
And so I was like, okay, I can't strong arm Craig's nephew off the team or off the squad.
So you tried putting
So
pressure
then
on your little son.
There was another guy who
you can be one person, right?
So one guy was a potential student for Tom.
Which, by the way, he didn't shoot with us, so now I lost a student.
So now he's no longer-
Now financially, I'm going to live in a cardboard box because Raph is on our squad.
So I got strong armed into buying 2 shirts from him.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
To make up for losing a student. I was like, I cost him a student. I cost him a student, so the least I could do is buy him a couple shirts so he can feed his kids.
So, guys, if you were looking for shirts, I'm out of extra mediums. He bought them both.
So I
Half his belly hanging out.
I messaged the guy, asking him nice. I'm like, hey, like, I'm part of the guys. We're all on the same team, and like, I thought it was just a random guy. So he never messaged me back, and then I guess somebody else on the team knew who he was, and so did he end up switching squads, or did
don't
he just
think he
back out of the
shot.
match?
The last time I checked, I thought you guys jumped him and he was in the hospital.
Yeah, he got strong armed and he didn't make the match.
I want a
somehow.
new gun from the parking lot.
Actually, the last time I messaged the guy, he had to quit Facebook because of all the nasty messages from the team. I was like, nah, we're kidding, obviously. So
Yeah. Like
no,
we
actually,
said,
I don't know.
you
I
need a sense of
actually,
humor.
honestly, I think if I
remember,
remember correctly, one of the guys, I think Nestor and Raby know him. That's how they knew that he was talking about being a student on the Insider Circle. But I think he had something with work come up. So actually, there was a couple guys that I talked to that couldn't make it because of work. They were going to shoot and that are in the Insider Circle already. They were going to be on our squad, but I would have seen them at the match. Been able to talk to them, but they weren't able to make it because their work came up.
Well, hell, Yorger, he was on call. He was like, I might have to go in the middle of the match.
Yeah. One of our guys, Yorger, he was on call to this match actually. So if they would have called him, we would have lost him for the match. And he ended up winning C-class carry optics, right?
Yeah. Nice.
Two-time Doc Welt carry optics champion.
See, I tried defending to be a back-to-back champ, but I'm running on 2 hours of sleep. And then I showed up. I'm like, I still got to load my bags.
Here's your violin.
What are those things? Excuses or like assholes? We all
I'm
got
pretty
them.
sure I just
They all
made a
stink.
video on the Insider Circle about excuses. But Raphael was probably sleeping while I made that video.
Probably.
Well, I mean, so all right. Well, let's touch into that real quick because I want to go back into the Doc Welt stages still, but let's go into that since you brought it up. Honestly, man, you didn't expect to win, right? I mean, you haven't been able to practice with ammo and work and.
Honestly, the last time I shot USPSA was when we got back from Georgia State. I shot the following week at WAC, and that was pretty much it. Because then this is the time when you told me, hey, you should buy primers pretty soon because I think there's something weird is gonna happen.
Yeah.
And I think it's gonna be hard to find primers, and I'm like,
No, you're lying.
you're Tom Castro. You're gonna find primers and you're gonna share it with us. We'll just buy it from you. Cool. And then they became
I'm so
like
screwed now because I shared with you guys. I had 50,000 before this started, and now I'm down to 9 because I shared. Which I don't. If there was anything, I would never take that back because we shot for half a year together.
Yeah.
Because I was able to get those primers, but now I'm hurting. Right, and it's actually this is the first time in a long time that I've been very nervous about not being able to even carry on with the shooting academy because I shoot a lot that's not for me now, right? Like before, it used to be I would go practice for me. Now, I think this is, Craig, this is the first practice. We had a practice this Saturday with the team, some of us that could make it, before Doc Welt. This was the first time I've practiced for me in a year. All the other practices have all been video. Guys, I'm going to take a picture of what this setup is here and what it takes for me to shoot these videos. It's
pretty awesome.
People don't have a clue.
It's mind-blowing.
What I have to put through this. It's crazy. I don't mind the work until I turn around and go, what the hell did I just have to do to set this up? Like, it's insane. Like,
yeah, but it shows your flexibility too, man. Like all the low round count drills that you've come up with and whatnot, and just getting back to the fundamentals. I mean, like Raph, I haven't shot USPSA since December was my last match.
Yeah.
Tim and I went out one night just, to shoot, and I maybe put a mag down my rifle because I changed out the barrel and put a new optic on it. And just looking at the videos, fundamentals, dry fire, and I won today. Right? Yeah. It's really about, can you execute the fundamentals day in and day out, and that will get you 90% of the way there.
And then the speed comes, right? So like, if you have the mindset of I'm going to haul ass, right? And your fundamentals are strong, you're going to win. I mean, it's really that simple. People talk about this all the time about, secret sauce, and there's some things that I know the way I coach are different than everybody else. The way I break it down. And I don't want to sound cocky, but I know I just think differently. I see all the other guys coaching, and they're all great. They're all great information. It's all the same type of information, but it's the way I break it down so it's super small. Like the one thing that I've found out where I'm getting better, even still to this day, is the details. It's such small, stupid little things that I've added that I'm just like, and it's crazy because now that I'm making all the videos, I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even know that. Like, and I'm like, oh guys, watch this. And then I give it to my students. Like, I don't hold anything back. I think that's something that is helping me too, because I'm like, I'm doing everything, all my training for the students is on video now. So I'm turning around. I'm like, hey guys, watch this. And now I show it, and I don't hide any of that stuff because you still have to go execute. You still have to practice it. And if somebody beats me with my system, that just motivates the hell out of me, man.
Mcelhany. Absolutely.
Craig cheats. Shoots PCC. No reloads. No draw. By the way, I love PCC still.
Excuses.
I just went to Carry Optics because that's where I want to be.
He has a lot of excuses if you haven't realized.
He's a big fan of Scorpions too.
Well, we're not going to talk about brands because that's no. That's a no. But so let's go into stage one. So stage one, we had there was the buoy ball where you had to drop the buoy ball and then run. So I'll talk a little bit about the start position on that because I would say that everybody ran that stage the same except for one position. There was only one position that I saw that was different, and there was a ramp you would run up. And you could stay up there, and I would say that for Carry Optics, it was the only 32-round stage of the match, right? Everything else was lower round count?
Yeah,
it was pretty. I think it was 28, but yeah, I mean, it was definitely.
I'm pretty sure it was 32.
Full 32.
Dude. Yeah,
I know it was the highest.
Oh no, I shoot PCC. I just pull the trigger, bro.
We don't need to count.
Just pull the trigger.
32. He needs to count because he has to count how many rounds he's going to rack out while he's shooting.
Amen.
He also has to count how many he's going to miss too. He's like, all right, I got 12 mics in this thing, so
he did
how
pretty
many
good
can
on
I
that.
do?
You didn't have a lot of mics.
Zero deltas today. 2 mics on zebras.
He shot really good today.
So what was your goal for today's match?
My goal was to get 2 deltas.
But you got 3.
No, I got 2.
You got 2?
I only got 2 deltas.
I had 2 deltas and no mics.
So my goal today was so I've been trying to clean up the deltas, right? Like I've been shooting. I don't want to say I've been shooting a lot of deltas, but the higher up you go, those deltas are like you might as well have a mic.
Kill you.
Yeah, it's a hit factor killer.
Yeah, you might as well have a mic. So I've been really trying to clean up my deltas, and if I do get a delta, if it's something that I'm fast and I've earned it, and it's something I'm like, okay, whatever. At least I got the hit, kind of thing. Yeah. I'm not too upset about it. But when you get a delta for stupid target, like it's something like you're like, really, like on an entry, you know not to do that and you still do it. Yeah. Those are what upset me. So 2 of the deltas I had, one of them was an entry on a far target, 15-yard target. As soon as I was coming around the wall, my goal was to just let it rip, be in the A. And I wasn't, obviously, but I was really fast. I was super fast on that stage. So it didn't hurt. It just didn't get me, where I wanted. And then the other delta, I think, was I can't remember where the hell the other one was. Was it on the same stage?
They were both on the same stage. Yeah.
It was on the same stage. Yeah. So again, it was the beam stage. The beam stage.
Yeah.
So it was on an activator stage. It was a stage where you had to run.
3 swingers on that stage.
Yeah.
Or 2 swingers and a max strap.
Yeah, 2 swingers and a max strap. All right, so let's just talk about that stage since we jumped into it.
Yeah.
So I'll go back to the buoy stage in a minute. So this stage had beams on it. And you had to straddle the beams, the first on the draw, and your hands had to be above your shoulders. PCC was hands above or wrists above shoulders.
Wrists above, yeah.
Holding the gun.
So it was wrists above shoulders for both, but holding the gun. So that was kind of odd because the PCC guys were trying to game it to where they could still see their dot, but get their hands above, their wrists above. So that was kind of hard because you're like, all right, I'm almost shouldered, but I'm not shouldered. So it was kind of different.
Awkward because you couldn't have.
Yeah, you couldn't get to your safety.
You couldn't
either.
Yeah. Just the way that you're holding.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, my thumb, nope, nowhere even near it.
Yeah.
So you can't even really game it that way.
And you have to step up on the beam. So you had to straddle this. I mean, this thing was an 8-inch beam, right?
So you're taking 2 steps.
It was an 8x8 railroad tie is what it was, right?
Yeah.
So you had to straddle. This is the first year they've done the straddling of the railroad ties. Usually you would start shooting some stuff and then run down the railroad ties and use them as your shooting areas that you could skip, but they would have these the shotgun clays as minefields.
Yeah.
If you hit one of those with your foot, you would get a procedural for each one broken. Mm-hmm. If you dropped a mag on those clays, you would get, and it breaks, you would get a procedural. So you couldn't even reload on that area. So, and again, it only has one berm, so it's the fact that these guys would come up with this stuff, and it's not gimmicky. That's the cool thing. It's not a lot of like, all right, run over here and hold this rope, and then carry the rope and carry the anchor, and you would get rid of a lot of that stuff. But then they would throw these little areas. They had this year they had one with a rope that you would swing on. Last year they had one with a rope that you had to swing over the clays.
Over the minefield.
Over the minefield. If you would land on those and hit them, you would get a procedural. If you were swinging and your mag fell out and hit one of those that you have zero control over while you're holding the rope, you got a procedural. So it was one of those things that it just added another mental challenge to the sport. But these railroad ties, you were hands above shoulder and you were straddling. Then they had 2 side berms. They just basically bring in dirt piles to be up against the wall for this match. And you would have to draw on targets. Well, these railroad ties were angled. So I don't know if it affects other people, and I'd love to hear, because since you guys were there.
It was a little awkward with PCC.
Right.
It was.
But did the angle of the railroad tie affect you?
On the start, because you definitely had to pick which foot you wanted on the left, so that way you were square the right way towards the first part of the array, but you still had an almost 120 degrees swing. But the tie is so your feet are angled back behind you basically while you're trying to swing the opposite direction.
Yeah. So when you walked that stage, and I'll ask each one of you guys, when you walked that stage, did you pick left or right because of the way the railroad tie was facing?
Because the left side of the tie was back, I engaged the 2 targets on the left first, and because there was only one on the right, so that way I knew, like, contingency plan. If I lost balance, something was weird, right? I could engage the one target and not have to be like, shit, I got to get back up on the tie.
Because you had to be on the tie to shoot, or you were getting procedurals. It was out of bounds. You're basically standing out of bounds.
Also, where we were running, it was the array that we were going to address, the railroad tie we all ran to the next was on the right-hand side.
So you had to go, and I'll see if I can throw a picture up on this. Guys that are listening to this, you're not going to see it, obviously, but there was a railroad tie. There was 1, 2, 3, 4 railroad ties.
4 different
and they were all different angles.
Not parallel, they were all at
all
angles.
Different angles. So the first tie, when you faced the left target, if you jumped on there with your right foot, you were guaranteed to fall over if you were right-handed, because you lift your right foot and then you step with your left foot, it's going to push you forward, like over the railroad tie. So you had to for me personally, I chose the left side because of the way the railroad ties faced on the draw, because I'm right-handed. So it put my gun on the right, but then I could keep my right foot down so that the gun wouldn't move on the draw. That was my focus, was to keep the gun in the same exact draw position as if I was standing still. So when the beep went off, I reached for my gun, and then as I lifted my left foot, that's when I had my gun, and as I lifted up onto the beam, it was draw and shoot for the draw. And then I was able to shoot on those 2 and then leave on the single. it's a lot harder to leave on 2 targets than it is on 1.
Yeah.
So I lean out on those targets so I can shoot. I try to make sure I'm moving on my second shot on every target, obviously depending, but that one especially. But if you have a trigger freeze and you have 2 targets or a jam, you're screwed, right? So obviously, like, okay, Ian has problems sometimes with his gun where he has to rack around. It's never when he's running and doing nothing, like where there's lots of time. It's always when he's going to do like this crazy lean or whatever. So he always has to have that. And that sucks, but you have to have that in your plan. That what if I have a jam? What if I have to rack around? So that's a big thing. Is always take care of your equipment. Make sure your equipment's fixed. You got to figure that out. Like he's been having issues with that for a while. He's been changing a bunch of things. He could buy a DaVinci PCC and it'll fix it, but you know.
You need to get a DaVinci.
Yeah, I mean, dude, we got 3 guys. Yeah, we got 3 guys on the team that shoot DaVincis that don't have any issues, and we have one guy who builds his own because he's smarter than everybody else. Not.
Is that what you got? You have a Franken?
Franken gun.
Yeah, man.
Hey! I don't want to talk bad about Franken guns, guy. I don't want to talk bad about Franken guns, and we're not. But
it's just there's always something, right?
Yeah.
I mean, open guns are finicky too, right? It's just sometimes.
No. Dude, I shoot a plastic Fantastic Canic, and it's phenomenal.
DaVinci's PCCs are not finished.
I will tell you, one of the reasons that I like DaVinci was because it's all made together. It's one part. It's literally built together. He makes everything. There's a few parts he doesn't make, obviously. I don't think
but he machines everything else.
All the externals, the upper, the lowers, everything is all him.
They just run.
Like it's 100% controlled. Like and with machining, you're always going to have, you know, things that are variations. That's just the way it is, right? But when you have a guy who's putting them together and he knows what the variations are, they're going to run. That was my choice.
And he listens to input from people.
That is huge, man. Yeah. Like that was the biggest thing.
He'll make adjustments to your gun if needed.
I remember starting with Padawan and shooting the DaVinci, and I thought that was hilarious because I was like, dude, this sucks. We need to fix this. This isn't competition friendly. The bagwell's not right. It's too angled. You know, I'm like, look right here at the front of the gun. It's jamming the bullets in, and I shoot coated bullets, so like literally lead all over the front of my like inside the magwell. And I'm like, we got to fix this magwell. And he's like, no one's ever told me this. I'm like, well, you got me now, brother. I was like, it's time. Like, we're gonna make this the baddest ass PCC around. And I mean, it's been a huge change. And it's only minor things. Like the guy he's a friggin' genius with guns. He just makes good guns.
And you haven't picked up his new barrel.
No, I did not pick it up. Yeah, the problem is I have this guy on my team who every time I get something, he gets it too.
Oh, please.
He has to know how Tom likes it first. Make sure it works.
Tom, are you running this left to right or right to left?
I was going to go pick up this barrel, try out this new comp that Padawan made, and he's like, Craig, I'm like, all right, man, when I get a chance, I've just been so busy, and Craig's like, hey, man, when are you picking up my barrel? Look at it. And you say you didn't say it. This is true. 1 for Tom, 2 for me. 1 for Tom, 2 for me.
And another thing about the railroad ties, it was weird to, like, I know people like to drop step.
Yeah. A lot of people did.
But the thing is, like, when you try to drop step from the railroad ties,
you have to make sure
you
first.
hit the ground first, and make sure your foot doesn't get caught on it.
Yes.
And then Jason almost bit it hard.
I don't know why
running, trying to stop.
Work.
Well, so they don't. So here's the thing: if you don't lean out on your last shot, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah, just lean out.
Well, but they don't. But you have to think about that stuff. That's what I'm saying about the details. Yeah. So I watched Raby, Nestor. I'm trying. There was some. Was it Jorger too? No, Jorger falls through pretty good on the forward fall. He's really good about moving on his last shot. But Nestor, especially one of our teammates, he drop stepped. So basically, what he did was drop his left foot forward, his right foot back, and did a split over the top of them, and then pushed off. And I was like, what? But he made it. You know, he didn't have any problems with it. But it's just so much time wasted.
Yeah. It's wasted effort.
And he's short. Yeah. He's real short. So literally that railroad tie comes up to his
the railroad tie's at his knee.
It's almost to his knee.
I took all the height.
Yeah. So
you're 6'8".
Yeah. So that was a big thing, like in the match, that there's little things like that you do. But yeah, that was a big thing on that stage. But so I'll go to the deltas on that stage. So on the second railroad tie, they had a really cool activation system. It was a steel on the left, steel on the right. On the left-hand side, there was a swinger, then a max trap between both pieces of steel, and then an open paper on the farther section.
Yeah, a lot of options.
So a lot of options. You could shoot left steel, right steel. You could shoot the back paper first, then the steel. The max trap, which I love when they do this, the max trap left the head open, so you could not leave it. You had to shoot at it. So no matter what your sequence was, you were going to shoot that head or you were going to wait for that max trap, depending on what you wanted to do. And unfortunately, on a beam with zero practice, the headshot was very stupid, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that was a very smart plan if somebody was going to do it. None of us
all the way
did.
up and,
None of us did. But depending on how aggressive you were was where you won or lost that stage.
Mm-hmm.
So that stage had when you came up on the second beam, you would shoot the left steel, right steel, left steel, open paper, max trap, swinger.
Timed out perfectly.
That was my system. That was the way I was going to do it. We had guys on our team that were more than capable, but when they saw someone else who shot it safe on our squad, for whatever reason, like 3 guys stayed there and shot that same way because they were the first 3 guys. And I actually remember talking to Jason, one of the guys on our team. He won B class this week on carry optics. And another guy who schedule kills him with shooting. Ammo's killing him, but he just is a great shooter.
Yeah.
He could barely shoot and still kick ass. I hate him. Like, he really doesn't have to. He doesn't get a lot of practice, and he's a great.
Yeah, but Jason, when he shot that, he immediately knew. He was like, you know what? I had time. I should have shot it the other way.
Yeah, we talked about it afterwards, and he was like, dude, I just talked myself out of it.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, I talked myself out. And I was like, why?
That's what comes with not shooting enough.
Yeah.
You know, you just you're not so sure.
But he
of
still
your
shot it
skill
pretty
set.
good, though.
Yeah.
Still shot it well.
So you just constantly question yourself. You're like, okay, well, if there is an easier path, let me do that because I haven't been practicing.
Yeah. You lose your confidence.
Yeah.
I did my
You get
first
conservative.
Yeah.
I did my first walkthrough with Craig Mcelhany Shooting Academy.
Shooting Academy.
And so he's like, "Oh, I'm going to stand back here from the start and do the steel."
Well, that was our initial plan.
Yeah.
It was.
Yes, that was our initial plan.
And so after when we got close, he was saying that the videos that he saw from previous shooters from the day before, he was saying that people with the fast times are actually running up to the second position. Because at first, you usually think, oh, you're going to eliminate
A position.
and save time.
And you could have for
Yeah,
sure. Yeah,
you could have,
definitely a
but-
viable plan.
I mean,
I think John Vlager was one of the guys that shot that in the back.
Yeah.
Like standing back, and
he shot from the back.
yeah. So I'm not sure how he did. I think he did pretty well, but I don't know.
Yeah,
how he
what,
did
10
overall.
yards?
High overall.
Well, yeah, but that does. Dude, you shoot an open major. I mean, jeez.
Yeah.
It added what, 10 yards? If you stayed back?
I'll look it up real quick. Go ahead.
I spoke to Vlager. I mean, he's always nice, and I asked
Yeah,
him.
but I mean, like, it was also, it felt better getting up there because you're closer.
You're right on it, yeah.
So you're gonna call better shots.
Yep.
And you'll be able to shoot faster, like, because from a farther distance, you're gonna have a slower cadence. But
All right, so I got the scores right here. And so the fastest time on that stage was me, 10:45, but I had the 2 deltas with minor, so that kind of crushed me. And the reason I ended up with the 2 deltas is, and I was actually talking to the guys about this right after, because this is one of the things I do when I shoot is I immediately break down what I did. Not so much just bad. There's a lot of good things that I do. I'm like, yeah, I crushed that. I did. Oh God, that delta. When I stepped up on the second beam, I had my gun up. Everything was perfect, except for when I pulled the trigger. I was still standing up on the beam when I pulled the trigger on the steel for the activator,
So
and I hit this thing, and I was like, oh shit. So I had to shoot faster, and my body wasn't settled. So that's where the delta came in because I shot both activators, and I was still standing. I mean, it was just like boom. And I went to the far right, and I knew I hit it, but I wasn't sure if it was a delta or a Charlie. But at that point, man, you just got to go. You know the hit's there. You got to trust it. Because I've got a max trap and a swinger. There is no waiting anymore. Now you got to let it go and just trust that you hit what you called. And because of the 2 deltas, that cost me one of the people said they thought that I would have won the stage if I would. I didn't go through the numbers. I mean, we literally just left the match and came here to do the podcast. So, but I was 10:45 and I ran up. A couple guys, Dwayne Spires, John Vlager. So Vlager was 11:23, 16:4 and 1. The guy who won it, Ian McPherson, which we shoot all the time with, an open major guy, 11:15 was his time. He went 17 and 4.
He ran up.
Yeah, he ran up. Yeah, so again, that's what's cool about that stage is you can do both.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, when we ran up, it was significantly more confidence when you got to the next beam.
Steel was far bigger.
Dude, when you got to that second position, I was like, I don't even have to aim. Like, I can
the
rip
popper
this.
was like a USB stage.
Like that one was my last. That was
like,
my
hello.
last stage.
It was weird because it was just a visual, like, trick. It wasn't any easier.
Yeah.
I mean, the shit was still going to be
It's
hard.
still
You had all
moving
this
the same speed,
activation and
yeah.
moving, but it was like all of a sudden your confidence went from
And the
like,
best part is, like, that being my last stage, I mean, I shot like shit today, but whatever, I was out with my friends.
Yeah.
But as soon as I nailed that sequence
Excuses.
that we were talking about,
Dude, you killed that stage.
I hear Tom in the background, woo! And I was like, yeah, I'm the man. I'm like, oh, there's one more position. But the fact that I nailed that sequence, I was happy with it. I'm like, I wish I shot like that the whole day.
But you ended on a good note.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
But you shot-
that's
you-
the raft we're used to shoot.
You shot,
shoot.
I thought, very well today for someone who had not shot in a while.
yeah, you didn't shoot bad at all. It was nothing that I was like, oh my God, Rafael,
when
yeah.
you're
you
shooting so
practice.
much, it's the consistency.
Exactly.
You weren't consistent, which is to be expected.
Yeah.
But you shot, I thought, pretty well.
Thank
overall.
you.
I would say the thing that hurt you the most today was your movement because you haven't done it. I mean,
It's weird, like picking up the gun and from a low ready, buttstock on belt, and then bring it up to your face. I'm like,
what am I supposed to do?
I haven't done that in a year.
Why isn't my trigger working?
That
Oh,
feels
yeah,
weird.
safety.
so I told the guys earlier, the buoy stage, I almost picked up the buoy without putting a mag in my gun. I'm
We'll start dry.
Oh yeah, I should probably put this on before.
Yeah,
Oh,
loading your gun usually helps.
did you guys get like mud on your hands from the buoy?
I did it when I first picked it up.
Oh man.
When I first picked up the buoy, I grabbed it just like I would any other rope, right? Like
I grabbed the plastic part of the buoy.
So I grabbed it with my hand, and I was like, "Oh shit!" Okay, I drop it. And then I tried to pick it up with two fingers. I'm like, "What are you doing?" And then I just grabbed the ball. I was like, "You dumbass!" Because it had like a big D ring on it to where you could just grab the ball, and then I didn't have to worry about the rope or anything.
Trying to be all dainty, like.
Yeah, I was like, well, I was trying to be like, all right, listen, I don't need to hold this whole thing. I don't need to like manhandle it. And then I was like, what am I doing? So I just threw it on the ground, carefully making sure I didn't activate the pad, because if you do hit an activator while you're not shooting, you get a procedural. Like, they can legitimately give you a procedural for activating that pad. If you are dry firing and you step on that pad while they're pasting after it's been reset, they can give you a procedural. So I always am conscious of those stupid penalties that you could get. Now, it's not stupid, but it's stupid for me to get one.
Yeah.
So I wiped my hand off and I picked that thing up by the D-ring, and that's what. So that, to me, the other thing is I wanted to just drop it. I didn't want to like have to lift it up and throw it down. I just wanted to drop it. My goal was to be getting the gun out anyway and running, because it was just a run position for me. So I made sure I raised it up a little bit to like towards my chest, so it had a lot of weight to it, right? And then I just kind of looked at the pad, and I didn't take my eye off that pad. I didn't care about where I was running. I already knew. And then actually, I think I don't know if the guys behind me, because those
No,
they had,
I know where you're going, dude.
Yeah.
You went from 0 to 100.
yeah,
like
it was
that
it was
one.
probably one of the fastest starts, like to the beep, like a running start. That I mean, it's-
Derek Spain was your RO on that one.
So do you know what I said to him? Dude, do you know what I said to him? I looked, because I at that point I had a really bad stage, like 2 stages before that, and everyone was just looking at me like, you got this, bro. And I just turned the dial up to 1,000, right? Like after that, everybody knew.
Yeah, you crushed 8.
I'm coming. Like
that was right
I was
after.
pissed. Like I was really mad at myself. So on that
He was
stage,
actually behind you, like
yeah.
when you were running.
Was he really?
He was outraged.
That's not good. I didn't see him. I couldn't see him. But
He was like.
so the really cool part is Derek's a really good guy. He's got a couple of kids that he's bringing into the sport. Those kids are super
the junior program.
Yeah, junior program.
They
They're
cleaned up today, too.
Yeah, dude, those guys are going to be good shooters. The only thing that kills me about them is they didn't pick red dots. Like, their dad's teaching them right, teaching them iron
Single
sights. One
stack.
shoots single stack and one shoots limited. And I'm
Limited.
like, come on, man, give that kid an open gun, bro. Like, don't these kids all get $8,000 phones now? I don't have to know what a flip
I
phone
was
is,
jealous
right?
that they won primers.
Dude, he's an awesome guy. Like,
Yeah.
and his kids are really kick ass. So, but I looked at Derek and I said, "You ready to run, bro?" And he just looked at me. He's like, "Yep." And I was like, "All right, I'm good to go." And on this specific stage, actually, the couple of stages they didn't have a placement for your hands with pistol. It said. Grabbing the buoy.
So Tom gamed it.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I followed the rules. I don't know why people call it gaming when it's just they didn't write it
Because it's
down.
fun.
It's called paying attention to
Yeah,
I
detail.
think he would have made a great attorney.
I would say I probably would have. I cuss too much, I think. I don't cuss on here a lot, though.
Your Honor.
Yeah. F you, he's a liar.
With all due respect, and I mean with all due respect.
But
He's an it would be bad. It would be bad. The judge would be like, "It's the other guy's turn to talk." No, it's my turn to talk.
I never stopped
My cousin Tommy.
Sidebar.
Did I ever stop talking? I don't remember. So this stage, you didn't have a hand position, so I started hovering the gun. And the shooter before me, the RO, had said no. So before I went up, because I didn't want any issues with like my mental stuff, I didn't want to have to like think about the conversation or argument.
That's a big thing.
Yeah, big thing. I went up to the RO and I said, "Hey man, I just want to make sure that we're good with this because this is what it said." And I think it was really cool. They actually offered Pete, who's doing his laundry and shopping right now instead of here on the podcast.
And meal prepping.
Meal prepping. Forgot about that.
It, yeah.
They offered him a reshoot because after I shot, they came back to him and said, "Hey man, listen, we stopped you from doing it the way you wanted." I'm pretty sure. I don't want to say that it was 100%, but I'm pretty sure because I think Pete even said, "Nah, I'm good, man. Like it's no big deal. It wasn't a huge advantage to him or whatever." But so I hovered the gun, and I don't know why, but when that timer went off, I was shot out of a cannon. It was the craziest feeling because there's times when I shoot and I'm like, I'm hauling ass. Like I can feel it. Like it's like there's so many times I'm like, man, I'm going so slow. I was like, holy shit, I'm already here. Like I'm already ready to shoot. And then I finished the stage, and I turned around and looked at the guys. I was like, "Dude, did I leave like really fast on that?" They were like, "Dude, you were gone. Like gone. You were by the time the swinger started swinging, you were already in the shooting area."
Yeah, and it was a 10, 15-yard run too.
10 or 15-yard run, and I was like, okay, like, all right, let's rock and roll, baby. So it was just
comments to the other RO like, so did he want to be sprinting all day?
yeah. They had a couple. Well, those other guys. There's a couple guys. Bill's in really good shape, so he lost a ton of weight, man. So that guy's lost a bunch of weight. He's in really good shape. But yeah, Derek definitely was the sprinter. He was the guy who was going to chase the fast guys on that stage. Because I mean, that I don't think I saw any different stage plans. Did you guys?
No.
The only different stage plan on that stage was to run down the ramp.
Go down the ramp or not.
Or shoot through the
it's basically
into the port.
Well, those guys were all short.
Are you 5'8" or shorter or not, right?
So I showed him a spot to stand on the ramp where to eliminate a position because his walkthrough, he showed me 2 positions on there. I'm like, why would you stop right here only to go also a couple steps forward
and stop
when
again?
you could stop at your second spot and shoot all the way to the left because you're not going to break a 180. And then, of course, I shoot the...
You shot the white trim.
Hardcover.
Yeah.
So what division do you shoot?
PCC.
What's your classification?
A.
What division do you shoot, Craig?
PCC.
What division?
G.
Or what's your... Yeah, you lied. What's your classification?
A.
All right, so this
But I'm also taller than him.
So this is a good point.
Well, he's 6'8".
These guys are actually competing against each other, and they're keeping each other from having penalties. So this is
I was
what
telling Raphael everything.
But that's what I mean. I don't think people realize. Like, I don't think a lot of people get to shoot with people like that.
Yeah.
Right?
You don't want to. You don't win like that either, though.
Yeah, but you know what? I think people do. I think there's a lot of people, and I think that's part of.
There's a lot of money in the sport, and some
Especially
people,
when there's a
they
stage
take
9.
that the wrong way. Unfortunately,
Exactly.
Well, a lot of people don't have anything in their life other than a trophy
it's true.
that they can
That
say,
is
put on
true.
social media, like, look what I did something.
It's more fun to shoot with your teammates.
Yeah,
than to-
absolutely. Well,
It's
people
pretty
that you
awesome to turn
respect,
around and
too.
tell somebody who won that they suck. I just love that.
Yeah.
Like, I got a call to paper GM today.
Because you are.
How many deltas did you have?
2.
How many did I have?
Who called you? Who? I don't know.
How many
What was
deltas
your
did I
total
have?
score?
0 deltas did you have?
0.
You had 0. How many mics did you have?
2.
What
I
was
had
your
1.
time, Ian?
I don't. What was your overall time?
Time is a relative thing.
Time is
The faster you go, time slows down. It's called relativity.
So my time was 1:14:88.
I think I was 131.
But that's relative. Like
So just 16
Yeah,
seconds. No big deal.
GMC.
at that
Just
point
2 seconds of stage.
in time.
So the only time classification
And you know
and
what that
time-
is? That's a racking around.
The only,
And he's reloading.
the only time a classification and time matters is if you're not winning. If you're the guy that won it,
Yeah.
then they
It don't matter. Yeah. Who gives a shit, man?
So just remember that. All right. So the king of shit talk right here. I'm going to give you a tip.
Is you.
If you beat your buddy in time, but he beat you on the stage, it doesn't matter. He was slower than you. If you beat him in score, time doesn't matter because you beat him in the stage.
This
that's all,
is true.
That's
This
all
is
that matters.
And if your power factor is higher on a chrono stage, you also win.
Yes, that's true. If you're king of chrono, you win the match, dude. You don't even have to have a classification, right?
It might as well be like minor plus.
And if you lose the whole
That's That's awesome.
If you lose the whole match, but you beat him on one stage, you are the stage 9 state champ.
Dude, we already have a state champ, stage 9 state champ, dude. He gets a quarter of the trophy.
So this is the second part. We may as well mention that again. Why don't we just let's readdress that? Let's just readdress. I beat Tom on, I think, on a couple stages. We can,
And if you DQ before your friend does, like, at least I get to relax while you shoot, loser.
That's awesome. All right, so stage 1. So I think we talked about everything on stage 1. So stage 2 was the hammock stage. We kind of got into that stage a little bit. Railroad ties we talked about. All right, so the wheelchair stage. I actually thought this stage was not going to be that much fun. I really didn't think that was going to be a good because it was a hoser stage, right? And at this point, I know I can hose the stages, but I really want to. I want to kind of like get away from being, hosing. I'm trying to get into those more difficult stages and stuff like that. But
you could make. But the thing, even with those stages, you can make those.
I'm trying to get the mouse off the screen.
As difficult or as easy as like. You moved on the paper on the back when you took off. You moved on the paper and the 3C on the paper. So you could stand there and shoot that or move on it, and therefore it becomes a more difficult stage.
Right. Well, but it was more or less when I walked that stage. I was. They had it. We didn't have the WSBs down. There was no WSBs when we got there.
Yeah, we
got there after the first day.
And we didn't have a wheelchair or nothing.
Yeah, everything was put away. We were preparing. They were preparing for a big rain, which came that night. It stormed really good. So they had everything put away. Everything was bagged, wasn't it? I don't remember. Yeah, it was bagged. So like a lot of the steel was down. Swingers were activated. Like they were just standing up, so you could kind of see what they were going to do, but you didn't know where they were even hiding or any of that. So on that stage, we talked a little bit about when we walked that stage, we thought that you were going to start in the front. And that was a super hoser stage if you started in the front, but it had some really odd backup stuff. Like it was a lot of like weird lean stuff, or you would have had to run to the far back right corner compared to running to the left. It was just a totally different stage depending on where you started. So it ends up today we get there and we kind of had a basic idea that if we started in the back, we were going to run from left to right. If we started in the front, we were going to end up having to go to the right and then back to the left and all this other stuff to do the different stage plans. And we started in the back, but you had to sit in a wheelchair. So you sat in a wheelchair, and that was another thing about Gary with the Doc Welt, was that he was in a wheelchair at the end, and I think that's one of the things that they brought up was that he was in a wheelchair. I think they even did it today in the safe brief, right? Like at the beginning of talking about him. Yeah. And he ended up in a wheelchair, confined to a wheelchair, and I always keep that wheelchair because of him. Like he just, he's restrained to it, and it just became his life at the end, So they always put that in the match, and so you would have to sit down, your hands on your knees, and you sat in the chair, gun loaded, holstered, and then but you could move that wheelchair anywhere. Because of the wheelchair, it made that stage a lot more difficult because you couldn't just hose it now. Now you had to actually get up, draw your gun, and then go on to 3 pieces of small steel that were probably 18, 19 yards. Yeah. They stretched it out as much as they could there for the range. And you started on that steel. So your choice was to move and shoot on the steel or stand and shoot on the steel. But every step you took, the first piece of steel disappeared more and more. And it wasn't a lot.
The paper was about 20 yards.
Yeah, 20 yards. And that paper started to disappear as well. So that was actually where I got one of my mics. It was on the back left paper on the move. I called a great shot, and it wasn't there. So I need to practice that a little bit. And then you ran forward, and they had this really cool lean. Like, you could get it if you didn't, like, lean forward and fall forward. You could have just, like, but it would have taken you a good 3 seconds to set up for it.
Yeah. If you aimed through the wall, the netting,
you're fine.
And then as that opened up and you launched too, you were fine. If you aimed when it was open, you were done.
You were done. So we had a couple guys get procedurals on that stage because of the toe.
Yeah, they landed on the backside of the.
So what
front
they did is when they set up for the lean, they didn't lean. They didn't have their foot far enough back on the fault line, so they basically took the middle of their foot and set it on the fault line. And when you do the lean from there, you might get more distance doing that, but your toe touches every time. Yep. We had one guy, John, who did it, and he looked like a ballerina, like straight up. He had his arm out. I mean, it was just like the craziest.
His right foot hits the wood, and his left foot just comes up like a pirouette.
Beautiful.
So show the camera that one. What's the pirouette? What does he do? I was like, and this is not an exaggeration, guys. Like, literally, I'm watching him. I'm loading my magazines, and I turn. I'm like, I had to like, I was like, did I just see a ballerina curtsy? What the
I told the
hell
RO,
was
I go, that should even out. You should like take away the procedure for that. You know?
For that.
You can either do that or you get a procedural.
Beautiful form.
Yeah, so he got. There was a couple guys on our squad that got procedurals on that exact same position. It killed him. But so then they went in and so we shot that stage. I had one of my mics, but that stage ended up being a pretty cool stage because it was about entering with accuracy. So I thought that was cool because one of the things that I used to do was I would sacrifice hits over time, no matter what. I would always worry about that super ridiculously fast time. And now I've learned to, all right, if I take 0.10 longer, I'm going to have all alphas on 8 shots, but I'm 0.10 slower. So now I'm like, all right, it's worth the 0.10 slower because I would end up with 3 or 4 Charlies on targets at 7 or 8 yards. That's just outrageous. You can't
just
have
blowing
it.
through, sweeping them. Yeah.
Which brings up another point. Like, there's a lot of guys, even on our squad, like they were just shooting at brown.
Yep.
You know, instead of just really, it costs you no more time to shoot the alpha than it does just shoot at brown.
If you shoot a pistol of any kind, maybe an open gun can get away with this. You have to stop shooting one sight picture. Period. You're not going to be consistent with one sight picture. So what I mean by one sight picture is guys will do, and my teammates do it all the time. It drives me crazy. One sight picture when you draw your gun and you put your dot on the paper and you're like, there it is, and then you go wham wham, and you don't even see the second dot. You don't even see your sight the second time. You cannot. Now PCC you can get away with that a lot, but your fundamentals still have to be you still have to pull that gun in because if you don't, I guarantee you that gun's going up. And the lighter the front of that gun is, the more it goes up.
Yeah.
Right. I know everybody loves their light guns, but you know
my gun's not light.
No, your gun.
It's physics.
But you put all the weight in the back. It's supposed to be put all that weight on the front of the barrel. Dude, you wouldn't be able to hold that up for nothing. So
Craig, we were gotta go some more curls, man.
Heavy.
So Craig adds weight.
On it.
Everybody in the world is trying to lighten their PCC, but Craig. Craig adds.
But I beat
lead
Tom on
weight.
stage 9 consistently, so that weight has helped.
Helps him in his mind.
Yeah, you take that weight for one stage out of 12 every time.
Yeah,
I'll take it.
did you win stage 9 today?
Yes.
Yeah, you did?
Yeah.
There wasn't even a
in his-
stage 9.
Yeah.
It was in his car.
It was in his car. Well, he certainly didn't win because he was the last one to the damn podcast. That's for sure.
Well, it's just he drives like a grandma.
You old lady. All right, guys. So the wheelchair stage was good, but I noticed there was a lot of procedurals on that stage for sure. Like that
It was kind of technical stage, all things considered.
I think the lean
It was just so tight.
was one of those things that if you had a trigger freeze
Yeah.
or you didn't lean properly, you didn't pull the trigger. Dude, that's one of the things that I love about some of the drills that I've been making is I've been working on shooting immediately when you get past the wall. So like a lot of the guys that have been shooting, like Craig and a couple of the guys that have been shooting and watching a lot of the videos, they were like, dude, this is the controlled lean video. You talked about this before. And I'm like, yep, this is the controlled lean, dude. Like I make all my videos for practical use. I don't make videos to make videos. I'm making videos on things that are going on in stages. And that's one of the things, like a lot of times guys like in my insider circle that are master members, they send me videos for me to break down every single month. And in those videos, when I talk over them, after I talk over the video, I send them the link to the video of what they need to work on. Yeah. And that's been a lot of feedback from guys like, dude, I can't believe you just sent me the link to what I suck at. This is awesome. I don't even have to like go search for this. And that's the thing is it's all in there.
Yeah. It's a library.
You just got to go.
It's a library. You just got to go check it out, man.
I think what I've learned with shooting the stages is that, and that's wheelchair stage is a perfect example, is that there's a key to the stage. Like there's, every stage there's some kind of a key where you could choose to not do it and you're not going to do as well, or you can choose to perform it and execute it. That one there was 2 of them, was moving on the paper, taking the steel and taking that step like you did, because I watched you shoot it, because you took steel, and then a third steel, you took the step, and then you moved on the paper, and then the lean. So those were the 2 keys to that stage. There was other keys to other stages, but once you start getting experience, you can see in that, then you can know, hey, I can do this, do that. And if you know and recognize those, you know that those are the things you need to work on. Because everything else was really like hoser. If you don't aim at brown, you just aim at A zones, 80% of that stage you're awesome. but those two keys were
It separates
the biggest part of the stage.
It separates, the top guys
And
from
that's
those that are.
really the huge thing I've noticed in the past year of getting better and being involved with the shooters, the inside our circle. So,
I think that is something that people don't pay attention to a lot in this sport. Is we do the same thing over and over and over and over again. The difference is how they disguise it. So look at all the stages we shot today. Every single thing was exactly the same.
yeah, you're shooting in a paper and a port, or you're shooting in a steel. You're moving.
All the stages had some of the same things.
Yes.
They disguise it differently. Yeah. So if you can do really well on one stage, why aren't you doing those? Because you're not recognizing
Correct.
it. Yeah. That's what it is. That's the biggest thing is people aren't recognizing that. Oh my God, we just did this on stage 4 and I just crushed it. Now I'm going to go to stage 5 and I'm like, what do we do, guys? It's like what you did over there.
You just did it.
Yeah, you just did the same damn thing, and that's the hardest part. And that's where that's where the levels of shooters come from.
Yeah,
that's where the consistency comes from, right? Like, and you guys know how I am. I'm big on consistency. I'm like, just repeat this and focus on the repeating of this instead of trying to change everything. Just clean this up. Okay, we got that fixed. Now go to the next and the next. You can't try to be an overall shooter and fix everything at once. It's one thing at a time. But it sucks. It's boring. It's not fun to go out there and bang on steel for 3 hours straight.
But that was huge.
It's huge. But like if you suck at steel and you suck at moving on steel, then guess what your practice should be? Moving on steel. Yep. If your draw's bad, what are you practicing? Yeah, moving on steel, right?
But even guys that are, that watch their own match videos and stage videos, like they pick out the what you think would be the keys to those stages, and if you didn't do them correctly, those are the things you should probably be working on. That's what should be the key.
Absolutely. And you see so many people that they only want to practice what they're good at because it feels good. And they can get,
it's fun.
Yeah, they get a good accomplishment. They feel like their practice was good.
Point.
I remember one of those practices that we did where we had the bobbers and like the 4 steel, and it was like you didn't say anything to me, and you're like, just shoot it. It's like, okay. I shot it some, and he was like, why don't you do this, this, and this? And by the end of that night, right, it was engaging 8 pieces of steel before either bobber came up. But when I showed up,
on the bobbers.
Yeah, and I was waiting on the bobbers.
Yeah.
And when I showed up that night, I was like, I'm going to shoot these 4, and then I'm going to shoot these 4 because there's not enough time there, right? We're our own limiting factors.
Absolutely.
That's all it is.
What about practicing like awkward start positions, like some of the ones that we've seen? But then again, you're not really going to see.
Doc Welt is young. Yeah, Doc Welt is an entity in and of its own.
If you get a match book and it's like, oh, I've never seen that before, you go put 10 minutes on it.
Exactly.
But
you do it the
at
night
nationals,
before.
you'd see like starting with a knee on the ground, like on the low port or stuff like that.
That's usually the Open. Florida Open.
Florida Open, very technical, yeah.
Where that's where they like to have like all the superhero stuff, where it's like Hulk hands.
We're gonna miss that match. That's gonna be a match.
What about the PCC nationals we shot with all the low ports and ping?
I love those low ports.
Ping
were
ping.
awesome.
When you're 5'4".
Well, I'm
That
sorry.
was PCC Nats, dude, in Florida.
Yeah.
Those low ports were great.
Nats, yeah.
That was perfect.
Now when you're 6'8".
Yeah, it was. We had that one stage today with the low port, right? Craig squatted. I attempted to squat, but because I am probably 8 inches taller than you, I had a hard time with it. And then Raph went after me and he laid down and was far more
didn't want to get up.
Now the shooting part,
He had his helpers come lift him up.
Yeah, I almost fell on my face on that stage.
Yeah, but I'm flexible.
When you got up,
you got up.
Yeah, you slipped on.
There's no traction.
But there's a way that I shot that,
cleats.
and then ran across, and then all the guys lay down.
I had no choice. I'm a pretty flexible, big, tall guy. I'm 6'2", almost 6'3", and I can, as unflexible as I think I am, when I have to shoot, I don't care if it hurts, what it feels like, I just do it.
Yeah.
And I got down there for just a couple practice runs, and I was basically shooting the gun upside down. And I was like, I know what's going to happen when I'm trying to go fast here. I'm going to end up trying to lift the gun up, and it's going to be behind the wall where I can't see it.
Yeah, because they had the no shoot.
So some of the low ports, like some of the things I've seen for low ports is if you have a really, really low port, what you can actually do is especially if it's a see-through wall, you can actually bring your gun up on the other side of the wall and look through the port and use your sights. So your arm's almost touching the wall, and you're seeing your sights on the other side of the netting. It's not easy. It's not something that's normal, obviously, but it can save you a lot of time, and it can save you it can really get you accuracy. The problem is you just have, it depends on what the wall is. It's all dependent on
Well, the one thing that we worked on Thursday.
We did practice that Thursday.
You showed me exactly. So you showed me with the PCC to lean down,
almost flip it upside down,
turn
or sideways,
the optics sideways, and that's exactly what I did. And so when you turn the optic sideways, you know, my optic is on the right side of the steel, the right side of the A zone, and so once I did that, I was able to zoom all the way across, and that helped because I wouldn't have done that, you know, any other way. So
yeah, that was, you shot that stage. Did you ever reshoot on that stage or no?
Yeah, and I ripped
so
it.
you
I killed it.
Crushed the first one.
Yeah, and
I mean,
because the timer didn't pick up.
No, it did. It picked up everybody else's too.
It picked up the bay next to us.
So this range has side railroad ties for walls, so you can't shoot through them. The problem with railroad ties is sound bounces off of them. So we use the commander timers. Well, they use the commander timers, which I love. I use them all the time. That is my go-to
awesome.
timer. They use the commander timers. Well, sometimes they do steel challenge matches there, and they have to turn them up for 22s. And I think that one was turned up because the first thing I said to the RO is I was like, you need to check the sensitivity on it, because that was I think it was Dan Callahan was the RO.
Yeah.
It was awesome to see an RO actually look at the timer
and knew right away
while the shooter was shooting.
And he knew immediately when I was done.
Instead of just assuming that the time was 25:36 instead of 13 seconds, he was like, "Whoa, I had 13 on here."
I could have used him getting that 25:36.
But here was the other thing, and here's another big thing about what Dan did that I really appreciated as an RO. He had a time of 13 seconds in his hand that he thought he saw, but he wasn't 100% sure. So instead of, because at that point, when he went back to the timer, it was 25 or 26 seconds.
Yeah, it was a ton.
So when he went back, he wasn't quite sure if it was the 13 or 13 plus, whatever it was, or less than 13, because Craig had some makeup shots on the first run. He wasn't 100% sure. So he immediately said, I can't make the decision whether it's this or not. I think he called Mike over, right?
Yeah.
Did he? Okay, so he called the range master. Range master came over and he goes, do you know what the time was for sure? And he goes, I'm not 100% sure. So right away, everybody was like, let's just agree on a reshoot. So Craig goes up. He's like, I want to shoot it now. Did you just have another mag already ready?
No, I used the same mag. It was just a big old 50-something round mag.
It was an Excalibur.
So there you go.
It was a 15 round.
He had to use it as a turret.
Bipod.
The freaking turret.
I heard these dumbasses like, I'm about to, he's going to use it as a tripod. I'm like, I'm trying to think about the mag. He's going to use it as a bipod. I'm like,
why are you listening to us?
Because I can't help but hear it.
Man, get in the zone.
I thought he was in the Zen zone, but I guess not.
Zen zone.
Get the same
he doesn't have the Tim Nolan.
He doesn't have the Tim Nolan Zen look, bro.
Yeah.
Hey guys, it takes a lot of practice to get there.
And then the second
lot
one
of
was
times if Tom's
12.5.
pushing at you during practice.
So then Craig reshoots it, and it's 12:58 or something like that. 12:54, something like that. So he saves a half a second on the second
I ripped
run.
it again. I ripped it. I mean, it was
Crushes
good.
it.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was interesting that we brought that up about the RO, because I just think that's something that we lose a lot of in this sport. I don't want to say it's an integrity issue, because it's not. It's a lazy issue, right? Like ROs just don't know that.
But the ROs of this match were awesome.
They're great.
There was zero
They're great.
complaint.
Yeah, there's no
awesome.
issues there.
All
But
of
it's
those
just.
guys are
But we're
awesome.
talking everywhere, not just here, right?
Yeah,
There's
that's
a
true.
lot of issues with PCC, especially. Like the Da Vinci's not a super loud gun, but it's usually pretty good on timer wise, right? They pick them up pretty well. There's not one of those. It's not like some of these suppressed PCCs that I hear. I'm like, God, can't believe you can even get any time off of those things. They're so quiet. But
then the RO has to be right up your butt.
right. Yeah, that was another thing.
When
That was
in
a
doubt,
stage-
just bump into the.
Yeah. That was a stage that you did not want to be on top of somebody as an RO, because they could have gone to the right, they could have went to the left. They could have.
open.
That was,
but
you think about that was a great stage, because you could have shot that. Like when we first planned that.
Yeah.
We've planned
We were
that
running-
not
we
to
were
lay
running.
down at all.
Yeah, we were running.
Yeah. Or you could have, like Dwayne Spires said, put your hands up there and then shoot your leg out and then lay down. So a lot of guys laid down on their left side.
That's what I did.
I chose to lay down, to not to go to one knee and. So there was 3 or 4 different options on that. That was a great stage.
Mike G.
Yeah, dude, Mike G straight up Vietnam veteran sniper rifled it like
on the belly.
His
and then
poor old
did
bones
he-
were clicking and cracking.
I gotta get I have to share that video. I hope we videoed him. But he did these
Repositioning his elbows.
like he did these elbow shuffles. Like So again, this is the guy who's in like really good shape. So he's down on the ground.
He's what every other late 60s guy person wants to be.
He's got his PCC up, and he's taking his elbows, and he's like crawling left.
Yeah.
Like awesome. Double shifting with I'm like, what the hell is he doing?
I was waiting for barrel rolls.
Yeah, that's the only thing we were missing was the straight up Mike G barrel roll. Like it was, I'm like, and I looked at him afterwards. I was like, bro, you wanted to do that so you could practice the elbow shuffle, didn't you? And he just started. He's looking at me like, yeah, man, I know how to do that. I'm like, that just looked painful.
Yeah.
Right? Like it looked, but he's done that before. You could he definitely knew how to shoot like that. Like he was a beast. But that stage was that was a fun stage.
It was a great stage.
I think the worst thing about that stage for me though was that it was our second stage.
Yeah.
And our first stage we swung off of a rope.
Yeah, this one it was the weird. It was
so
tough.
I never got a chance to find out what the hell I was shooting like. Like we had all these weird starts. Like I literally started with my gun on a barrel on the first stage, swung off of a rope, ran over, grab it. Then on the next stage, I have my gun on a barrel. I have to pick it up again.
There's no warm up.
But now I'm squatted down on my knees, touching an eagle, like completely stretched out.
I was going to say, there wasn't any normal starts.
No.
But
that's what's fun about the match, though.
No, there was, but just not.
Oh, the railroad tie one, yeah.
Just the first two starts were like, we didn't even get a chance to sit, like warm up. Like there's no warm up bays at this range. So, like, you're basically shooting this thing cold, and you're like, all right, cool, I'm going to lay down on my side that I never practice, and I'm going to try to shoot steel, paper, stand up, run backwards without breaking my neck, and get all alphas. So it was like...
There was like 16 shots on the ground.
So was there ever a spot in PCC where you were starting with your rifle on the buttstock on belt, your hands on the gun?
I don't think we had one charge.
No, not one.
There was like one on the barrel.
Yeah, the anchor start.
I guess it was completely odd then. Yeah, it was. There was
not one.
Yeah,
not one.
Well, you know what? I got it, dude. The two stages that I had the real draws, I hovered the gun because they didn't have it on the thing as hands below belt. So yeah. So I guess I don't think I had.
There's not one normal start.
Yeah, because that one stage,
a whole different level.
No hand position stated.
Yeah. So there was one stage where you start at the port. You have to have for pistol shooters, it's both hands on the port. PCC, you could have your gun touching the right or left side port, and your weak hand touching.
But you were shouldered.
So I had it shouldered.
Yeah.
And so I guess.
And I told you that.
I didn't realize.
That's a Raphael's shoulder. You don't put it in your.
I didn't realize how deep I was into the port, and so when I had that jam, that like 15-second jam, the
15
shell case.
seconds.
It was probably
15
20.
seconds.
It was a long
16.
time.
20.
Yeah.
I'm thinking he's gonna go less than that.
He had a 5 second stage.
By 2 minutes.
Where they almost, what did I lose by? 57 second jam.
I would have ran that in 5 seconds.
So what I think happened was the shell casing bounced off the port back in.
Yeah.
So it just jammed up the gun.
Dude, I was like, oh no. When I saw the jam, I was like, oh God, Raphael, what the heck?
And so I was just like, all right, that sucks. But I mean, I just pushed through it. And
the whole rest of the stage, you destroyed it.
It was about 10. Raph was 10 seconds slower than both Craig and I.
So, about right. 25 seconds, like he said the first time.
Right, yeah. When his overall stage time was 24 seconds.
That was awesome.
Sounds about right. He had -1 second on that stage.
So that stage that we're talking about with the ports, that was stage 7, I think, of the match, right?
7.
So stage 6 was the one with the wheelchair, and I shot that really well. Get to stage 7, and I'm going to shoot it a little bit different than everybody else. I'm going to back up and off the port instead of shooting things through the port like everybody else. And I missed my spot on the draw. I backed up too far, ended up having to make up a shot, which obviously, screws up your flow. But I start backing up, and I shoot the second target. I get into the third target, and I realize that I have a mic. So I go to shoot the shot, and the gun doesn't go off. So I'm like, all right, cool, I'll rack it. So I rack the round.
What the heck happened there?
And I shoot the next round to clean it up. Well, now my flow is all screwed up. So I slide back to the next 2 targets, but I'm not where I'm supposed to be. So now I have to move and shoot on steel. And on my last piece of steel, I have to shoot, it activates a swinger. So you have to shoot that on the move to get to the swinger. It was kind of hidden on the right. I slide my foot, and I only focus on my footwork when I'm moving and shooting on steel. I don't care about the aiming part because I already know what that is.
And they were big. They were pretty big poppers.
Giant poppers, dude.
Yeah.
Like stuff that I could close my eyes and hit that thing.
Especially from their weekend of shoot. Oh my gosh.
The only thing that sucked about that stage, I bet you it was terrible as a PCC shooter, was the right to left on that was such an awkward.
Yeah. It was a weird shuffle.
Like push to the right.
But it wasn't like we did that
far.
on Friday.
I know.
So it wasn't, or Saturday.
But it forced you so hard to your right. Like you wanted to go left, but it made you want to go forward. It was a really odd position. It just never felt comfortable when I was walking it. But when I figured it out as I got there on my walkthrough on the second time before I shot it, I'm like, all right, as long as I'm back here and I'm off the fault line, I'm good. Well, when the gun jammed and it threw me off of where I was supposed to be, as I come to the last piece of steel, I hit the fault line and it threw my gun left. I mean, I remember this like I'm still standing here or like I'm on the stage right now. I felt my foot hit the fault line and it drug me left. When it drug me left, I was supposed to be shooting and moving at the same time. When I did that, it threw me past the position.
You had to come back on.
I had to come all the way back to the position and shoot it again. So I shoot the swinger, run to the left, shoot 2 shots. I'm out of bullets. I've got to do a standing reload because of all the makeup shots that I had to do with all the racking rounds. And because I only had, two
And I think I beat
rounds?
you on that stage.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the RO didn't get the last second on yours. So.
I beat you too.
Yeah, I always got to lose a stage to these guys to make them feel good about beating me, I guess.
Half the time when Tom's time is questionable, I just pretty much assume that the RO didn't pick up his last shot.
Exactly.
So
If the pad says time looks suspicious, it's the RO's fault. Definitely that I couldn't have done it.
Remember the state match? Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so actually, Ian, you brought up a really good point, dude, about it does keep me hungry.
Yeah,
like
man.
if I lose a stage, I don't care who I lose a stage to. If I don't, and I've learned not to win, that winning stages doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. But if I know that I didn't perform well, like seriously, could you guys tell the difference after that stage what I shot like? Like, did you see it?
Oh, you turned it. You flipped a switch, dude.
It's weird though because I didn't change the way I shot. It was like my level of focus was like, it's on. Like, and it's funny because what did I say to you, Craig? Didn't I say I'm not going to make up that last stage at all? I don't care. I'm just going to go do what I do.
Yep.
And it was like, I think I focused a lot more on execution at that point than it was about anything else because I'm learning that I'm already fast, and that's been the hardest thing. Well, Tim's been shooting with me for over 2 years now. That's been the biggest thing since you've been gone, dude, that you haven't seen. Like, Tim will tell you, when I used to shoot, I would come off the stage and be like, dude, I was slow. That's terrible.
The funniest thing I used to love was when you would come off and you'd hear the RO go, okay, Alpha Charlie, and you would lose your mind. Absolutely lose his mind.
Yeah.
No way I had a Charlie there.
Oh.
There's no way.
Perfect
and then you come
double.
off and we'd read the score and be like, you had 2 Charlies on the whole stage.
Yeah,
What are
and
you
what he means
complaining
by that
about?
is I'm not questioning the RO's
And then
call.
you want to go back and pull the target.
Yeah, oh God, don't not get that started. This dude, the
arbitrating.
The internet is deadly.
Dude,
This haters.
For
everywhere.
the record, Tom had about 20 overlays.
Ah, you guys,
On this
buddy.
match.
we'll be
Actually,
at,
I
we'll be
did
at our
have
practice.
two, though. I did have 2. It's the first time I've had 2 in a long time.
So just add another 0, and there you go.
We'll be at a practice night, and he'll be in the parking
put an
lot trying to
overlay.
arbitrate for an hour. And be like, I got this timer set. I know I got an hour. I
We
know
don't
my
have a
rights."
range master, sir. This is
This is a weekly local practice, sir. Go to Wendy's. Get out of here.
All right, so I got to clarify what Tim said though, because the biggest thing with that was like, I still catch myself doing it. I will walk off stages and I will be like, oh my God, that was terrible. Like that was 50-50. I shot, it was a 20 round stage. I shot 10 alphas, 10 Charlies. That was terrible. It was absolute garbage. Like I can't believe my accuracy sucks. My movement, I was just shooting way too fast. I wasn't paying attention to what I'm supposed to be doing. And then I walk off and Tim's like, hey, dumbass, you have 3 Charlies. I'm like, whatever, man. It still was terrible.
The example today was I'm not. You were like, oh, I'm one. You had a mic and you're like, man. You looked up stuff and you're like, I'm an entire hit factor above this other guy.
Right. You know what? But that's the difference. Like that's what's changed in my mindset is the mistakes aren't death anymore. Right?
It's not the end of the world.
It's not the end of the world. There's no making that up anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
Like there's no
And chances are that is not going to end your match.
No, and it didn't at all. Actually,
No,
it actually
no.
was a victory on that stage that I didn't think I actually got because. But then I look at the rest of the stage and I'm like, that was the victory. right? The victory was at that part of the stage. Wasn't there, it was forward. It was where I got it over there because I made it up in other areas, right? So like, even though I pushed that hard, I made it up in efficiency because I did push that hard, right? So that was the difference on that stage for me. I was just like, wow, I can't believe like I actually did good on that.
You know, the whole, where like if you win a stage thing, I want to flip the coin there though. Like for me, who's trying to, you know, improve and chase people, right? I remember there was one local match, Sunday. It was a Sunday whack match, right? And I mean, in John Arenas, and you know, a couple GMs there. You were there, and Mike Howell was my RO, and I got done just blowing through stuff on the move, right? And it was a new skill relatively. And Mike was like, "That is the best I've ever seen you shoot." And I actually won that stage high overall. And what it does is it validates you have the potential.
Yeah.
The hard part is the consistency that you drive, right? Being able to do that stage after stage. It doesn't matter if you win one stage. It's can you get top 3, top 5 every stage. That's how you win a match.
So I think that's the biggest thing though is, and especially as a newer shooter or as you're working your way up, even as a master, right? Like most masters are pretty consistent. The problem is guys don't look at it that way. You got to look at it as a positive thing. Like if you have the ability to win a stage, you have the ability to be consistent.
Yeah.
Winning stages is not luck. Like
No.
Except for Craig. It's not lucky. No, seriously, like it's not lucky. Like if and as much as me and Craig talk trash about that stage, he crushed that. I had a mic on that stage. That stage 9 of Florida State Open, or the Open. Was it Open or I
think
can't.
it was a Florida State.
It was both. It was
No,
actually
yeah,
all
okay,
three.
all
The
right.
national,
The stage of the
Florida State, and
Every level 2 he's ever shot.
The trifecta.
So the one
We're gonna make sure
talking,
we, get that out.
The one we're talking about is the state championship. Actually, because that was the one where you
Yeah,
get
I destroyed that stage.
So
I actually
he
destroyed that stage.
crushes that stage. I shot a mic, right? And I walked over and at the end of the match, we were both talking about, and again, as much trash as we talk, we were very supportive of each other. I walked over and I said, dude, I just put the mic and put an A that I had, and you still beat me.
Yeah.
That's how good. I mean, he beat a lot of great shooters.
I think I was second on that stage. Second
You were
overall.
high overall in PCC.
until and then Arenas.
John cheats. He shoots
Yeah.
open.
Yeah.
So
John beat me.
and he's only a little bit good. Like
He's awesome.
like a little bit good. Like maybe good, but just a little bit good. Like so, John Reese is one of the open guys that we shoot with down here. That's a badass. He's an awesome guy. Him and his wife are awesome. He shoots with a cowboy hat. If you don't know who he is, make sure you follow him. He's a really cool
So
dude.
something Ian was saying, like, going back on that, like, it's not about having the ability, but also, can you screw up in a stage and treat it like it didn't happen and still perform on the next one and the next one and the next one?
Gotta have
Because
short
chances are that did not ruin it, but a lot of guys are like, how many times have we heard, oh, my match is done. My match is done.
Dude, today,
Area 6 last year.
today, how many guys walked up to us and was like, "This match is over for me. I had a procedural
It's
here."
a negative. The first thing you hear, like,
First
I'm not going to mention names, but hey, how's it going? I did, bop, 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 bop. Crap, stop talking about all the negative crap.
All they talked about. They
Can
never had
you
anything
bomb a
positive.
stage and can you flip it around and come back and kick ass on the next ones and the rest of them?
That's where teammates help too.
Well, but that's the mental. You need to have the mental fortitude to be able to do that.
Yeah, yeah.
So
and
that just reminds me of nationals this year. I was at Optics Nationals. Nationals are always obviously a 3-day event. The third day, it's our second to last stage, and we have a big weight on the group ahead of us. We start sitting down, everybody's on their phones, and everybody starts coming up to me going, "Oh, hey, congrats, man, you won a national championship. That's awesome. Congrats." Like 5 or 6 guys on our squad did it. And I finally had to snap and be like, "What? How? How have I won? I have not won anything yet. If I zero the next 2 stages, do I win?"
yeah, he didn't. Yeah, that's the worst thing.
Yeah, I haven't won anything. I have to compete.
Yeah.
And it came down to my last stage, my last shot. I thought I threw it was like a Delta mic, and I was like, well, I felt like I ran that stage really well. I'm not going to pull an extra shot. Let's just leave it. I had the Delta, and I beat the guy that was in second place by 9 points. So you turn that into a mic, I
Bro,
lose.
that's ballsy though. So that's the thing.
Yeah.
So
Instead of throwing another round,
but
Yeah.
here's the thing. Here's another thing. We shoot together a lot. We shot together a lot. That's a mindset.
Oh, yeah.
That's a trust that you learn, and it helps when you have other people around you that tell you you're a badass. right? Like, even if you're not a badass, if your buddies are like, dude, you're good, you start to believe in yourself. It changes the way you think. Mental in this sport
is everything.
Is everything.
Everything.
Area 6 last year.
Never, if you're listening, don't ever talk about your, stop. If someone asks you how you're doing, don't start mentioning the negative crap first. Never. Just stop reinforcing the negative crap. Start mentioning, hey, I did this good, blah, 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 you know.
If you do mention the negative, though, I want to add to that. If you do mention that you had a mic, all you have to do to change the mic into a positive conversation is, yeah, man, I had a couple mics, but you know what? I'm doing pretty good.
Exactly.
Those two shots that I shot, I'm doing pretty damn good, honestly. Like, today I had a mic. Not one time did the guys look at me and go, dude, that was terrible.
Your match is done.
Yeah,
you're done.
They all looked at me and they were like, oh shit, Tom's getting to turn it up, boy, here it comes. You know, I mean, it's the mindset of it's not a big deal. And if you do have a mic, what the hell are you gonna do about it? You're gonna go shoot an extra alpha on the next stage and make it up? Hell no, you're not. You should be shooting alphas anyway, right?
Like I got two deltas, didn't meet my goal for today, but
I just threw my trophy over on the outside of this building. We're in a big tall building right now. I threw it out the window because I had two deltas and missed my goal. Like, just that.
You don't deserve this.
Yeah, just the attitude and the negativity that people crush themselves with. It amazes me, and you can see it in all. You can walk around during a match
and you hear it
and look
all
at
the time.
Squads.
Yeah,
look at squads. Like, if anybody ever shoots with us and our squad, and I've noticed this has happened quite a bit. When I shoot with a couple of my friends, like my guys, and then we go to another match, like when we do travel matches, the ROs look at us like we're freaking nuts because they're like, holy shit, you guys are so happy. I'm like, why isn't everybody else? We're freaking shooting guns.
How much did we pay to be here? Why would we be unhappy?
Last year's Georgia State match. Craig, you didn't get to go to that, did you? Yeah. So Georgia State last year, we all show up in our Bumblebee yellow, black and yellow short bus jerseys with, we're all there. We're all from Florida. We drove up there, and we're all on the same squad, and everybody's shooting pretty good, but it didn't matter. We were laughing and joking and just having, I remember ROs coming up to me and going, you guys are friggin' awesome. Like, you guys are the happiest
people. You guys like each other?
Yeah, like, you guys like, it's the crazy. I'm like, and then you walk, and then as we walk as a group, we're like an army of idiots, right? Like, we're just all laughing and joking. And we're walking by these other squads, and I don't know if all the other guys that even pay attention like I do, but I'm watching and I'm just like, look at that. They don't smile.
They don't even speak to each other.
It's like you get a couple of guys that the one guy will run and they'll start filling their mags. And they're just they're not even enjoying it. And I'm like, guys, like, God, come shoot with us for 10 minutes and there's no pressure.
Yeah. And then also, like, you see other teams that are, like, they're on the same team.
Yes.
But they're so divided.
Yes.
Like, they probably don't know anything personal about one another.
Yeah, they're just shooting friends. Yeah. They're acquaintances on the range.
Yeah, so, like, they're sponsored by a company. They're all...
Which is and that stuff's all great. It's just different. Like, for us,
it's a very different dynamic.
Honestly, we're a family. It's the craziest thing to explain that to people because they're like, you guys are all like, we got freaking Filipinos and all these different people on our family. We got guys that come from the Navy. I'm a contractor. We got insurance. We got all these guys that come from all this stuff.
What is the age range? It's like 30 years between the oldest and the youngest.
Yeah.
35.
Yeah. I don't know. I just know I'm 41. So
like Tom pretty much calls me to ask how my grandparents are doing.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
who does that?
I feel like he wants to talk to my grandparents more than he wants to talk to me. I'm like, so where are we going with this?
Like Utah, and you stayed with his parents, right?
Yeah.
So I want to get into that a little bit. So when I became friends with Raphael, we were complete strangers that shot at the same range. This is how crazy this sport is and how much I love this sport for the people that are in this sport. And I like how people are like, oh, there's the best people in the world shoot. There's a lot of assholes, and I'll leave that in here. I'm not deleting this part, guys. There's a lot of assholes in this sport that want you to burn and crash and burn. If you do well, there's a lot of guys out there that want you to crash and burn. I have a lot of haters for whatever reason, and they just don't like success, and it's okay. It actually fires me up, and these guys will tell you, the first thing I hear about someone hating on me, bro, let's rock and roll. I'm out there practicing even harder.
It's probably every sport too, though.
Oh, it is. It's life in general. It's business. Totally. But in this sport, because we're such a small community, it's really bad. It's really backbiting, calling you a cheater. They have no idea how much hard work you put in to be what you are. It's not lucky to win, guys. I've talked about this before. It's not luck. It's hard work. I put a lot of effort into this. I think about shooting all the time. It's becoming my business, my life. I love this sport, but I've never forgotten my friends. Actually, I think I mentioned this in the last podcast. I've never lost my friendship. I've never lost my grounding on the ground to where I know I suck and I got to always get better. You're never good enough to be the best in this sport. I mean, there's guys that have been doing this for way longer than me. Since they were kids, I have to compete with that to try to win a national championship.
And that's their only job.
That's their only job. Yeah, I actually work for a living. I know it doesn't sound like it because I post a lot of shit, but I work a lot. Like before that match, I was throwing concrete bags. I've lifted 60 bags in 3 days to work on a job. I was there at 8:30 at night the night before and had to load up all the podcast stuff for the next day for Sunday. That's how much I work to do this sport. But with Rafael, we went to the match in Utah and we really didn't know each other. So Rafael went to Utah on his own. I went to Colorado to see my parents, and then I RV'd there with my parents because I wanted to spend time with them. So Rafael meets me there, and I'm like, dude, you want to hang out, man? Come have dinner with us, because I didn't really know anybody at the match. And Rafael, it was Utah, right? So I don't have any friends out there, at least. And I was a nobody. Nobody really knew who I was. I didn't have a podcast, a shooting academy, any of that stuff. I was still trying to work my way up in PCC. I think I was a GM at the time, wasn't I?
Yeah, you just made it.
Yeah, so Rafael and we hung out the entire weekend. So we went over to my parents. We went to the campsite. We hung out all night, just shooting the shit, and become amazing friends. And have carried that on. And I mean, dude, I know his family. I know his grandparents got sick when we got home from Utah. So I was constantly calling him and texting them and checking on them. And I don't know them very well, but I know him well, and he's what matters, right? So I just don't know a lot of people that seem to pay attention to that in this sport, right? Like everybody has friends and stuff like that, and everybody has different levels of friendship, but
they're friends on the range, and it stops there. Yeah. Starts and ends.
Yeah, that's a big
Absolutely.
thing.
I see a lot of that.
His grandparents call him Round Eye.
You see each other Round Eye when you're shooting, and then after that, it's like, why would you talk to me?
Yeah.
We're shooting friends. We're not shooting.
And then so it got to the point out in Utah where Tom's like, he's got his own money. Why are you feeding him, Mom? Why are you paying for his dinner?
Yeah, dude, you're
He's like a raccoon.
Bro.
He's just going to keep coming back.
He's like a little Filipino raccoon.
And this guy especially, he eats two dinners.
Two dinners.
Every time we go out, he orders
Every
two
time.
dinners.
Two dinners.
And
One,
sometimes
Two entrees.
so the worst
I'd look
part-
at the menu and be like, steak sounds good. And Tom's like, don't you do
Don't
it.
you do it, you bastard, that's my inheritance. So
I'll have the
worst
64-ouncer.
The worst part about Rafael is he'll eat his first meal,
And then he eats a small child.
and then he gets half the meal going on the second one, then he takes it to go, and in the car,
Yes.
he finishes it off before we get home, and then we get home, and he's like, fuck, shit, I don't have any extra food for later tonight.
Man, I was going to have that for breakfast.
Then he calls Ping Ping to go get him more food.
Honestly, like, food literally brings us all together. Like,
we do eat a
in
lot.
Georgia, when we're shopping, when we're at Walmart trying to figure out
my
what
God.
we want for breakfast, it's like, all right, well, the essentials, like, we're at least going to have biscuits and gravy, and homemade biscuits and gravy. Not that
That's that
store
garbage
bought.
where you just throw, pop open box.
Yeah.
Pop
That was
open
an
a
excellent
package.
meal, if I may say so myself.
Yeah, that was real good.
High five, big guy.
So
Absolutely, bud.
I got to tell you, Georgia was the best match we've ever been to.
Well, that house,
as a
too.
team.
Oh, my God.
So
history
we
of
got
that
to,
house.
Dude, we went to this house and we shot in the backyard
That's
before
awesome.
we went to the match.
That's
Well, the family that
That's
owned
so
it lived
cool.
next door.
Yes.
And
20 acres, 15 acres?
I think it was
get the
20
house, man.
acres with a creek
gonna
on it.
try- no.
it had the creek, but like that family owned the land before they were property line strong.
Yeah.
Right.
And then so it's been in the family for 250 years.
They
damn
had
near.
floats. Like, that was the other thing so unfortunately when you shoot, you don't get to go do a lot of extracurricular activity. Like, you don't get to go like check out the town or
no free.
it depends
Go
on if
hiking in your own backyard.
But this was different. We literally made this a vacation for the boys, right? Like,
Yeah,
it was, we had a bonfire in the back that Rafael never wore a shirt. Like, this is the only time I've ever seen him
I
in
think
a
I
shirt.
spent the
Belly was
whole
at least half out.
I think I spent the
Seriously?
whole time at the house without a shirt.
Yes,
So the
you
best
did.
part of that was
With a crown, like a feather crown.
we were all taking pictures and video, and as soon as the video and pictures came out, the shirt got laid over the belly. Like it was like we found his sensitive moment, and it was like he's like, "Hey boys, I don't mind being overweight, but don't show anybody." Like we could all know he was fat, but no one else could knew he was overweight.
You see a big hollow spot where his belly button is.
Yeah, his belly- he has an innie, not an outie, just to clarify.
Oh Lord.
But man, that match was phenomenal because we all got together. When you get an Airbnb like that, I mean, we sat outside on the bonfire and just shot the shit.
Yeah,
like,
that's awesome.
The weather is
Yeah, I think it was
beautiful,
like till 2 a.m. after the match, and we're all just like,
And we-
I am
oh,
beat,
and-
but I don't want to go inside.
We stayed after the match and we drove home the next day.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was the
that's
thing is
fun.
we got to rest. We left when we wanted. In the next day, we relaxed. There was no pressure. There was no like we got to get our crap out of the hotel and go jump on the plane. It's just such a. It was. We planned it out so well that we were all like, that went way too good. Like, what's going to happen now? Like everything
Right.
was so perfect.
The air
house-
conditioning
air
worked.
conditioner worked.
Oh, and also, if your friend, whoever picks the restaurant on the way home, and that place is terrible, boo the hell out of them, and
Yeah.
they lose all.
Oh, Mariana's
rights.
Diner?
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. They got phenomenal cheesecake.
You were talking that place up
place
too
was
the
gone.
whole way there. We were like, oh, okay, we're
went out
starving
of the way.
ourselves.
My bad, guys.
So this is how awesome it is. But the only great thing about that restaurant, I don't even know if you guys remember this. We had
camera crew.
The
we
camera
had
crew,
a
that's right.
CNN
Yes.
reporter walk in,
Yeah.
and all the guys don't care about the reporter. They look at me and be like, "Don't say shit." Like, remember that? You remember that?
100%.
We're gonna end up getting kicked.
I'm pretty sure Trump was president,
Yes, he was.
and I'm not going to make my politics known. but-
2019.
2019. I'm not going to talk about politics, but when that reporter walked in, all the guys were like, "Oh, please don't come here! Please don't come over here, Tom." I mean, we were
It
literally.
was last year. It was last year.
No, it was 19.
No, 2020.
It
It's
was
COVID.
Yeah, 2019 is what it was. It was 19. So we looked
Crazy.
at the guys
Yeah.
were all sitting there and they're looking at me and they're like, "Dude, don't say it. Don't say it. Don't. I hope this guy doesn't come over." And that guy turned around in his skinny jeans and looked at our table and he was like, "Hell no," and literally darted to the next table. The worst part about that though, the table that was next to us was like, "We're trying to eat breakfast. Like, what are you doing here?" I thought it was the oddest,
It was very strange.
the oddest thing.
Well,
right?
there was
Like,
that one lady that like,
I will
they
never
sat her
forget
down
her.
next to her, and then she moved, and then she finally was just like, "I'm up and out of here."
I don't
was it
feel.
because of us?
it was COVID. She was
Oh, the COVID.
It was.
Was
last
it
year.
2020?
Yeah, it was last year.
Yeah,
dude.
it had
she
to be.
was freaked out
Yeah.
about COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we were
we were
I'm
all like-
always, dude. I'm always in a hazmat suit. I've always got my mask on. My
Well, like the
glove-
restaurant did a really good job of like segregating all the tables too.
You've always got your mask on.
Yeah, I've always got my mask on, dude. I mean, you know, I'm legit.
Double
CDC,
bag it,
bro.
man.
Double bag it. Oh, I should have said that.
Double mask it.
Double mask it. Double mask. You know.
I need to.
Erase that.
So, but yeah, I mean, honestly, that's the part that we need. That's what I want back.
The
Like, that's
road
what I'm
trip
excited about
on
next
the
year.
way back, the water bottle incident, was that on the way there?
But yeah, I made
Oh.
you had to buy me a gallon of washer fluid because we kept splitting each other.
So we have a bunch of children on our team. Like it's pretty bad when I'm the mature one.
And there's the ringleader.
But this guy Ian would drive in front of me at 85. If he slowed down, you knew something was going wrong because that guy drives like 90, 95.
Yes.
Like, and if you just learn to follow
Allegedly.
him, you could save like I saved probably $50 in gas from drafting. Like it was pretty awesome. But so every time you would turn around, he would pull in front of me and turn his windshield wipers on with the water, and he was like, "Oh, I got it wet! I got it wet!" And I'm like,
Every time.
what are we doing here?
So
like,
the
this
best
is like
part-
15 or 20 times for 9 hours of a drive. I was
So
like,
then the best part, I was like, Tom, just pass them. Make sure that
oh yeah,
they're on the
We
passenger
windshield
side.
washered him with the side of a window.
So we go past them, and I have a full water bottle, and so I'm just like, I just pop the bottom, and it's just like a water cannon, and we're doing like 80 or so.
I mean, it was
And so
completely safe, guys. We were in the slow
Obviously.
lane. No,
we had our
it's all safe.
seatbelts on, you know.
We had our seatbelts on.
So my biggest fear was the water bottle flying out of my hands and hitting his truck. He's got a pretty nice truck. So I'm just like holding, I have just a firm grip on it, and I just slam the bottle, and we just see all the water just skid.
Oh, you could change lanes at the same time. It was perfectly executed. I gotta give you that.
Perfectly executed.
Oh my
But
god!
then we had to stop for gas, and Tim and I pulled
Oh my
off
God.
the covert move of
Oh,
the
that might
year.
have been the best one.
What were those stickers again?
Taurus.
Taurus.
So Georgia match. I don't put gun stickers on my truck. Like I obviously I like guns, but I don't really advertise what I do. Obviously, I wear a shirt that has advertising with me shooting on it, but I don't advertise on my truck. People tend to follow people home, and stuff can happen with that stuff. But I come out to my truck, dude. How many hours did we drive before we stopped to eat at Five Guys?
Yeah.
Is when I saw it.
It was
So probably 4 hours of me driving around with a damn sticker on the back of my truck, like two stickers of a gun company that I don't even freaking shoot. I was like, you son of.
we took pictures and congratulated him on the sponsorship and all of that. And it was great.
Yeah, I'm still trying to get that Canik sponsorship, bro. I still love that gun, dude.
It's pretty sweet, man. It runs.
I can.
You
run
seem
that
to
gun.
do pretty well with it.
I can run that gun. That thing's sweet. They got a new one coming out. I'm still waiting. I'm going to be in the.
Which one's that?
I can't remember what they call it. It's got a lot of. They cut it up a lot, so it looks like it's supposed to be a better competition gun. Actually, I probably need to look it up.
Like
just so I
slide
can-
cuts and stuff?
Yeah, a lot of slide cuts. I'm a little afraid about unloaded starts. I feel like my fingers are going to be cut off because they really sexied it up. Like,
Gotcha.
The one that I saw, I didn't like the color. You know, I'm kind of a flashy guy, I guess, sometimes. But like for that, they had like a brownish. It just didn't look good to me. And the cuts were cool. I like the gun. But they made it more competition ready, I think. So they're supposed to be like the slide release is flat now. So for me personally, the slide release doesn't bother me too much, but I do feel it hit my hand, and this is going to be a lot flatter version. And I know they make replacement parts for the slide release, but I don't tinker with my stuff too much. But and also they're supposed to have a really nice trigger from factory. It's not going to need the Freedom Smith triggers anymore, which if you have a Canik now and you don't have a Freedom Smith trigger in it, you're crazy. That thing is just it's basically a 2011 trigger with a little bit of slop at the front. I mean, they clean that thing.
I don't
up
want to say
so much.
slop. It's pretty freaking awesome.
But I like I like a little more play in my trigger. I want that
You can
take
feel
up.
where it is.
Yeah, I want that take up because it allows me to mentally and physically prep the trigger. Because
Sure.
one thing is when you have a trigger that you just breathe on and it goes off, you really can't prep the trigger. You have to somewhat slap it.
Yeah.
Or it's going to go off, right? Like you can't make a mistake. This gives me a little bit of room to kind of feel the trigger. That's a big thing. So and recently one of my struggles has been finger placement. Like I've been a little inconsistent on certain. Like that's when I'm noticing my steel has gotten bad. Like if I start
because you're pulling it off.
I'm going too far in. So that's been my biggest problem is going too far in. But all right, guys, I think we've been at this for a while. Let's wrap it up. You guys got anything else you want to add to the group chat here? Craig?
I think we covered most
The
of
only
it.
thing I would want to add is the other thing is that we've already said is shooting with the team that everybody wants to help each other out. And when we do this sport, we're not making millions of dollars from the sport. We do this because we love to do this sport. So, we'd be able to shoot with a bunch of people that, they have your best interests at heart, and we're all friends. That's what's fun. I can't imagine shooting this sport alone. It would suck.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I
that's
did
the
it for
best
a
part
while.
about shooting this stuff. Not about trophies and all that crap. We all want to win. We're all competitors. But at the end of the day, the most fun is, doing stuff with their team, and that's everything. That's all the difference.
Here for the brotherhood.
Yep.
The shooting is just something that allows it to happen.
Absolutely.
And definitely the stories and memories you make along the way is definitely worth it.
And if we couldn't make fun of, then it's a total waste.
You're not allowed on the team.
I'm pretty sure I'm deleting that.
God bless America.
I might just leave it and then just beep that whole section out. So if you can't hear what Craig said, it's very inappropriate for 2020.
Yeah, hate in your heart, let it out.
We don't want him to get canceled.
I guess the last thing I'll say is if you've watched this far in the podcast and you're not part of the Insider Circle or the Master class that you're putting on, what are you doing?
You're messing up at a high rate of speed.
Right? Because if you're watching this far, you care about the sport, you want to get better, and there's a pathway to do
results
that
speak for
very
themselves.
easily. Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Like I haven't shot in 6 months, but just dry fire and doing the fundamentals allows you to still perform.
Absolutely.
You put crap in, you're gonna get crap out, right? You've got to invest. If you're serious about this, you got to invest in it, and it doesn't necessarily mean you have to go shoot thousands and thousands and thousands of rounds. You can be efficient and still, in tough times, make it work.
Mm-hmm. That is definitely a fact. Now, I didn't think it was. Well, you know me.
We shot thousands of rounds last year.
The dry fire is huge, man.
I would say that the number one thing that I have discovered, I don't dry fire. I'm on the range so much that I don't dry fire. It's something that I'm going to add because I feel like it's the one thing I'm not doing that the other great guys are. Right. And if I want to be great, I have to add that into my repertoire. I'm going to start adding it into my workout. Like I'm actually going to keep my belt on, set my gun down, do my workout, and in between sets, instead of getting my rest, I'm going to be drawing, reloading, dry firing, so that I don't have time. Like everybody else says, they don't have time. I don't have time. I work 2 jobs. I'm full time. If somebody in the insider circle posts something and it's more than an hour that I haven't got to them or answered them, then I am immediately getting them to at night when I'm out of my other job. It's that important. Like I will literally stop jackhammering something or doing trim to answer a question on the insider circle. It's that important to me, right? It really is. I'm a customer-based service. It's about my customers. I want to win, but it was so awesome today to shoot with so many guys that are in my insider circle and take, I think I have like 6 trophy shots of those guys winning trophies. Like, I don't need to take pictures to brag. I'm so excited for them.
Yeah, man.
I'm like, dude, that is just amazing. That's something the knowledge that I never received from someone else, I'm able to pass what I needed when I started. I mean, Tim's a great example. No one talked to him for 3 freaking months at the range. Like, what kind of assholes do we have in this sport that doesn't talk to a guy for 3 months and he's been going to the range for 3 months?
Yeah. Literally, one day we were shooting, you're like, hey, I'm Tom. I see you a lot. What's up, man?
Probably said something inappropriate.
Worst thing that ever happened to me in my life.
So our buddy Pete, one of our co-captains that didn't show up because he's you're doing his laundry and shopping at Sam's and prepping food.
He bleached the underwear.
Washing his underwear.
So, like, dude, I met that guy at the range, same range, because he had a Harley Davidson shirt on.
Yeah.
I didn't even talk to him about shooting. I never even seen him shoot. I just knew that no one talked to him. So I walked up to him, I was like, hey, bro, like, you ride a Harley? Yeah. He's one of my
wife
best
just
friends.
got me this shirt.
Yeah. I have a Vespa.
He's got Pizza Club.
My wife has a Harley.
He's got like a...
Dude, what's with this guy today? I got to beat out all kinds of crap with this guy today.
I remember the first time that we talked and we shot a Sunday match together, and you and Ryan Rhodes invited me out to eat, and we're standing in the parking lot for like a half hour just talking, and you were asking me all about my guns, my equipment. I was like, well, yeah, it's here in my car if you want to look at it. And you're like, yeah, why don't I grab mine? We can just go inside and get our money back from lunch. And I was like, oh, okay, these are the kind of people that I can hang out with.
I like this guy. He's just talking. You don't even know him yet. So I mean, that's the way I am, dude. I don't want to be fake to people. Like, I get it, I got an aggressive personality, and I'm cool with that. I've been like this for 41 years. I had people come up to me and go, "Hey, man, you talk a lot." I'm like, oh, man, I didn't know that. Thanks for that tip, bro. Right. I've only been doing this for 41 years. Like,
so the first time I ever heard of you, heard of him, I was probably 2 bays over. Like, I'm like, who's this guy that won't shut up?
No doubt.
When we were switching bays, I see him and I'm like,
no doubt.
Man, this guy's
That's
annoying.
when Ear Pro comes in handy.
and then Ear Pro at that. He ended up becoming one of my best friends. Shooting and traveling to matches with, and
I think that's where there is a lot of cool stuff in this sport. That there is a lot of accepting people. As many many unaccepting people there's as many that will accept you for who you are, how you are, and what you bring into their life. I think that's something that I appreciate the most out of this sport. Right? I mean, it's truly like I don't think by far, because of my attitude and my positive attitude that I carry around, nobody pisses me off like that. Like, I don't let that get to me. But it gets to you, right? Like, it does. The negativity can get to you if you allow it. So that's why I surround myself with positive people, man.
And that's the way to be. You got to surround yourself with that.
It's not
exactly.
It is not worth it. The funny part is I have more drama in my life from shooting than I do with my wife and 3 children. What's that tell you?
There's a lot of bitches in the shooting.
There's a lot. I won't say it, but I do not disagree. There's a lot of non-alpha males that pretend to be.
Yep.
So, but all right, guys. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. We ran over a lot of time. I just don't get to see these guys a lot, so I don't think I'm going to break this podcast up. I want to just keep it in the flow because I love the way we're just us, man. It's. I hope that we can get to do this a lot more and get together a lot more. I think primers are starting to come back. I know ammo. We saw what was ammo? 50 cents a round the other day, which is the cheapest it's been around forever.
45, yeah, 50. But it's starting to come down.
So we're getting there. I hope we can get back to shooting. I miss my buddies. I mean, like I said, we still hang out, but there's nothing like when we're on the range and get to shoot together and
Screwing
make fun of each other
fun.
and just have a great time. And man, listen, if you guys ever see us at a match and you see Team Shortbus at a match, which I think we're going to do some different stuff with our jerseys this year, but if you
come by and say hello.
Come say hello. Right. We love this sport.
We're welcoming and we don't turn away anybody.
Put sticker pasters on our butts.
If you look at this Motley crew, come on.
So that was Tom. Just do me one favor. Just make sure that you don't sign up until Raphael signs up. So you got to give us like a 6 or 7 hour window after.
Otherwise, I'm going to have to message you and ask you to get off our squad.
And start cyber-stalking you.
He's going to pull his royalty card.
Yeah. Like, I don't care who you know. I don't care if you're a Tom Castro Shooting Academy prospect. All I have to do is buy 2 shirts.
Proby.
And I get a spot on these.
So Raphael has every medium shirt I've ever owned, and I have to keep rebuying them just so he can get on our squad every single month.
And after the food digests, it fits normal, okay?
Yeah.
For like, what, a 6
But when
hour
you're eating,
period?
it stretches out and turns transparent.
Dude, okay, we're going to end it on that, boys and girls. Craig wins on the last bash. So if you guys haven't had a chance to check out the Tom Castro Shooting Academy, please feel free to check it out. I have a free group on Instagram or on Facebook, but my paid group is my Tom Castro Shooting Academy Insider Circle. The Insider Circle, what I do on the Insider Circle is I have hundreds and hundreds of videos that I've already done. I go through mindset. I go through shooting foundation. So shooting foundation, I go all the way from your stance, all the way to moving and shooting. I talk about accuracy in that area. And the last thing that I do and it's actually probably my favorite section, is Break It Down Friday. So on Break It Down Friday, a lot of the things I do on Break It Down Friday is I actually challenged my students to get better. So my goal is not to just tell you what to do. I see that a lot. A lot of coaches just tell you what to do. You don't learn if someone tells you what to do. You learn by challenging yourself. So what I'll do, and the last one was phenomenal. I really loved it. I had 37 comments in 5 minutes after I posted this video. So what I do is I walk the stage and I created a homework section in the Tom Castro Shooting Academy Insider Circle. So students send in their videos and I find one thing that they need to work on for a month. If they do not fix it in the next month, then they send new videos in the next month. If they don't fix it, that's their same homework. So what I've done is I've challenged you as a shooter to get better at your pace. If you don't have time to get better, then you stay with that same thing. But if you're hungry and you want to be a badass in this sport, you're going to start knocking those things off every single month. So think about it this way. In 6 months, hell, even in 2 months, you'll be a completely different shooter depending on how much you put the work in from just me watching some of your videos. Never meeting me, never talking to me, just through Facebook. That simple. And on Friday, a lot of the times what I'll do is I'll grab a stage, and I kind of like messing with the shooters. I love it. What I'll do is I'll post a walkthrough. I actually walk the stage on camera. I show you all the targets. I show you all the positions. Then I give you I show you the video of what the stage looks like. I actually put a 3D stage. I make a 3D with the 3D stage kits that we can get. I make a 3D stage kit, take a picture of it. Tell me what your stage plan would be. Everybody sends their stage plan in, and then I run that stage and show them how I ran it. And I think that went on for almost 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah, man. And everyone's challenging, asking, why are you doing that? You know, and that's the thing.
Phenomenal.
It's a lot of information flow back and forth, and the why, right? That's the big thing, right? It's one thing to tell someone how to do it.
I love the why.
Knowing the why, because then you can take that tidbit, that breakdown of that situation, and apply it to every other stage thereafter. Because in the end, right, there's only so many ways you can from a technique, there's only so many there are, right?
And my goal isn't to... My goal is to make you think like me.
Right.
That's the difference. I want you to think like me. I don't want you to think the way you're thinking. I want you to be more aggressive. I want you to start attacking. I want you to change the way you think. And you cannot do that if you continue on the same path that you're on. Now, you could, but it's going to take you thousands of dollars and thousands of hours. And you want to know how I know that? Because I did it by myself. And it's not easy. So again, that's one of the reasons why I created it. It's one of my favorite subjects. But honestly, I would say Mindset Monday is the #1 thing I get comments about, though. I think Mindset Monday is big because it's the mental game.
Because it's part of our sport. It's 95% of our sport.
The mental game. I talk a lot about the mental game. I mean, I'll pick a subject, man, and I can talk about it for an hour. I don't, because people have lives, and nobody wants to sit on there for an hour, listen to me yak on. But
well, I think 90% of us can hit a target at 20 yards, hit a steel plate at 20 yards. If you're in this sport listening to this, you can do that. Yeah. But why can't you do the rest of it?
I think that's it, man. I've said that I don't know how many times. Everybody in this sport can shoot 2 alphas, but when you add everything else to it, that's what makes it challenging. We actually make this sport way harder than it is.
Yeah.
Like we do. It's not hard. It's really an easy sport. It's put 2 in the middle. But
point A to point B.
Point A to point B. Point A to point B. But nobody realizes that the most important target or the goal should be to get to the last target.
Right.
Everybody's looking at all the shit in the middle. That doesn't matter. The only one that matters is the last target. It's how do you get to the last target the fastest.
Yep. Yeah.
Right? That's the biggest thing. So that's where the mindset comes right there. If you have the mindset that the point from point A to point B, but point B is the most important part, then you've already win. You're going to win. Automatically, because everybody else is like, oh man, look at all these others, look at that swinger, look how fast it is. Who gives a shit? It's not the last target. I don't care about that target. I care about that one over there. How do I get past this as fast as possible with great hits, right? It's a mindset. It's attacking, right? But, all right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. I had a great time.
This is a blast, man.
It was a lot of fun, man.
We're doing this again.
Yeah,
like everybody together.
Yeah, we're doing this again. This was phenomenal. I actually enjoyed the hell out of this, so this was a great time. So, all right, guys, if you haven't checked it out, check out the Tom Castro Shooting Academy. Also, I am on Tom Castro Shooting Academy on Instagram. I am on Facebook. Check us out, and I'll see you on the range.